0000000. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't die yet, Haku said as he teleported away. No, Haku, you can't die yet, Naruto said, trying to stop him. He took one step forward when suddenly time seemed to stop. Do you want to save your friend? A voice echoed. Naruto looked around, but couldn't see anyone. Oh, sorry. You can't see me, can you? A figure phased into being. The person was blonde with blue eyes and had a blue crystal on his right cheek. He wore a high-collared beige jacket with chain mail at the shoulders and extending halfway to his elbows, a brown shirt under it, blue jeans, and black shoes. Who are you? Naruto asked as he backed up a bit, wondering if this was a trick of the Kyuubi. I am Lael, one of your ancestors, Naruto Uzumaki, the figure responded. But you didn't answer my question. Yes, I do want to save him, Naruto said. Lael smiled. Good. Now hold still for a second. Naruto tensed as Lael raised his left arm and a blue and purple sphere seemed to surround it. The sphere detached from Lael's hand and shot towards Naruto, slamming into him. Naruto cried out in slight pain and shock as another crystal sprouted from his right cheek and a second formed on his breastplate. What was that? Naruto asked Lael. I only unlocked your powers, Naruto, Lael explained. Your Kekkei Genkai, as it's called today. But what about Haku? He's probably dead by now, Naruto said as he realized how long he had been talking with his ancestor. This is only happening in your mind, Naruto, Lael explained. It's real, yes, but all of this is only a split second in the real world. Okay, so I can save him, Naruto said excitedly. You can, and I'll be telling you how to use your powers the whole time, Lael confirmed. Now go. Lael faded as time restarted. Naruto summoned the same sphere Lael did and moved, determined to save his friend. 00000. Kakashi charged Zabuza, his lightning blade chirping. Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him as he tried to stab Zabuza. The kid, Kakashi thought as his eyes widened. Damn, I can't stop in time. Suddenly a sphere of energy encased Kakashi, and he shot back a few feet. What the hell? Thought everyone who saw the strange event. The sphere vanished from Kakashi and reappeared on Haku, who shot in the direction he came from and landed as Naruto walked out of the mist, his hand raised and encased in a smaller sphere. Naruto? How dash? Kakashi stuttered, then gasped as he saw Naruto's cheek. What the hell happened? Naruto shot him a look that said, I'll explain later, and turned to Zabuza. It's over, Zabuza. You've lost. He's right, Zabuza, a voice said. I'm so disappointed in you. Everyone turned and saw Gato, the criminal who terrorized Wave, standing in front of what looked like 1,000 bandits as the mist dissipated. So you did betray me, Gato? Zabuza said as he glared at the man. Of course I did, Gato said, then noticed Haku. Heh, I need to repay that brat for breaking my arm. Men, kill everyone. Some of the bandits raised guns and fired in rapid succession, only to see the bullets freeze as they hit a strange purple and blue wall. The shinobi looked at Naruto to see his hand raised and encased in energy. Naruto gestured and the bullets flipped over. He gestured again and sent the bullets back at Gato and his men. Gato ducked as the bullets came flying back and shouted, Men, whoever kills that blonde brat gets a 50% bonus. He ran to his boat as the bandits charged. Naruto panted as the bandits charged. He didn't think he had the energy to help. Give me control for a minute, Naruto, Lael said in his mind. All right, Naruto agreed. Naruto started to fall forward but Lael, who was now in control, stopped him. Naruto, are you okay? Kakashi asked as he somehow consumed a food pill without taking off his mask, making even the bandits wonder how he did that. Yeah, I'm fine, Lael responded, knowing that the ninja wouldn't understand that Naruto's ancestor was in control of his body. I'll deal with these guys. He encased both hands in energy and rose them as the weapons of all the ninja near him, including Zabuza's sword, rose off the ground and floated between the shinobi and bandits, pointed at the latter. Still want to fight? Lael asked. The bandits considered it before one started to back away. Then more. Soon, all of the bandits were running as Lael encased Gato in Energ, then brought the businessman in front of the shinobi, still floating. Now, Gato, I believe you have some checks to write, Lael said, sweating a bit. Man, I'm getting rusty, he thought. Oh well, I guess this is to be expected after who knows how long I've been gone. Never, Gato screamed. You sure? I could turn you over to Zabuza, right? He shouted the last part at Inari and the civilians, all of whom had just arrived at the bridge, armed and ready to fight. They roared in approval. Gato's eyes widened as he took in the civilians, then glanced at Zabuza. All right, I'll do it. Just put me down. Lael obliged with a smirk. As he set the man down, his vision blurred for a second. Damn, I thought I had more time, he thought. What happened? Naruto, who had seen everything, asked him. I guess I wasted a lot of your chakra, Lael thought at Naruto. Sorry. That was the last either of them thought as Naruto collapsed. 00000000000. Naruto let out a groan as he woke up. He sat up and looked around. He was not in a location that he knew, that much he could tell. He was sitting in what looked like a cross between a sewer and a military bunker, with leaking pipes and ankle-deep water. Where the hell am I? He wondered out loud, and was answered with a slap on the back of his head. I would appreciate it if you watched your language, Naruto, a feminine voice said, and Naruto, rubbing his head, turned around. Standing behind him were Lael and a female that he did not recognize. She had a beautiful face, yellow eyes, and short blonde hair with what looked like large leaves braided into it at the back. She was wearing a blue long-sleeved denim jacket that stopped halfway to her waist, a faded red shirt, short white gloves that royalty wore, and a red-orange short scarf in the front that housed a green jewel. She was also wearing beige short shorts that had suspenders and a white belt. Another belt, except this was bronze-colored with what looked like armor at each side. Long black socks that came up halfway to her thighs and brown shoes. The woman looked to be about 3 years younger than Lael. Sorry, but who are you? Naruto asked her. The woman frowned. She looked at Lael and asked, You didn't tell him? Lael sighed. I didn't really have time to explain everything, Althea. The woman, now known as Althea, sighed. Very well. Naruto, I am Althea Sol Alfidaria, wife of Lael, former queen of the Lilti Kingdom, and crystal bearer of barriers. Naruto blinked. You're my ancestor? Yes, Althea said as she smiled. What's a crystal bearer? Lael answered. A crystal bearer is a human who has a crystal magically infused with his or her body. All crystal bearers, except one, had their powers at birth. They are identified by a crystal somewhere on their bodies, like my right cheek or Althea's breastplate at the base of her neck. Naruto absent-mindedly touched the crystals on his right cheek and breastplate. When Althea gave birth to our first child, we discovered that a crystal bearer's powers can be passed to any offspring he or she produces, Lael explained further. Althea blushed slightly at that part and said, And we also discovered that bearers that lost their powers can still pass their powers to their offspring as well. What do you mean? Naruto asked. How can bearers lose their powers? Lael sighed and explained the story. From the Yuka tribe, a race of slender-built humans who always wore armor, was wiped from existence after the Lilti tribe destroyed the Yuka tribal crystal until a Yuka named Amidatilion, who was a crystal bearer with power over summoning, appeared and attempted to restore the Yuka tribal crystal by gathering its shards, to Amidatilion sacrificing himself by protecting Lael from Jigren, a Lilti and crystal bearer with the power to crystallize people, and ending with Lael's final fight with Jigren, killing him and restoring the Yuka crystal, which made all living crystal bearers except him lose their powers. Whoa, Naruto said. That's quite the story. But how come you never lost your powers, Lael? Lael and Althea exchanged a look, both of them frowning in thought. Honestly, I don't know, Lael answered. I have a theory about that, a feminine voice said, making the three turn to the voice. Standing there was a Yuka in dark green robes that Lael recognized. The Yuka's helmet was shaped similar to an eagle's head with a flat metal half-circle surrounding the top of it connected via rods that went into the base. Small bat-like wings could be seen on the back of its armor, identifying it as most likely male. Its spine was replaced with a blue crystal, signifying it as a crystal bearer. Amiditelion? What are you doing here? I have no idea, but I would like to know where here is, the Yuka responded, looking around. I could tell you that, another voice said, and the quartet turned to see a giant cage that wasn't there before. On the cage was a small note with the kanji for seal written on it. Behind the cage was a giant fox with orange fur and 9 tails laying on the ground and observing the 4. Amiditelion stiffened when he saw the tails. You're the 9-tailed fox demon, he said in surprise and awe. The fox grinned. Indeed I am. I am surprised that you 3 crystal bearers are here, and that my vessel is a descendant of Lael. Vessel? Amiditelion asked in confusion, then looked at Naruto. Ah, now I know where we are. We are in young Naruto's mindscape. Naruto frowned. This is my mindscape? I seriously need to remodel the place. Couldn't agree more, the fox said. I should have booked this vacation in advance. Maybe I would have gotten a better place like a beach instead of a sewer. And whose fault is it that my mindscape is like this? Naruto asked the fox, his face contorted in rage. If you hadn't attacked the village, I wouldn't be the village pariah, and my parents, whoever they are, would still be alive. There seems to be a misunderstanding, Amiditelion said. The 9-tailed fox demon, or Takashi as that is his name, would not attack a town, village, or city unless someone from that village attacked him or his family first. You seem to know quite a bit, Yuka, Takashi said. But you are correct. I was tricked into attacking Konoha. 2 men killed my mate and kit, and 1 left behind a shinobi headband signifying that they were from Konoha. Naruto frowned. You had to have seen the guys. Did you get a good look at them? Only 1, but the other had a strange right hand. The one I got a good look at had pale skin, snake-like eyes, and long black hair. What was so strange about the other man's hand? Lael asked. It looked like it was made of crystal, but it couldn't have been a crystal bearer. The last one before Naruto died 30 years ago. Maybe not, Lael said, frowning. Could Jigen have been resurrected again? If not, then who was it? He never had any kids. Takashi shook his head. The last crystal bearer's crystal was her left middle finger. This other one wasn't even the same gender. Anyway, Naruto said, what was that theory you mentioned, Amiditelion? Amiditelion looked lost then said, oh, right, I believe that Lael retained his powers because they were still needed for some crisis in the future. If that's true, then you were right, Lael said. A few years after the Yuka crystal was restored, Jigen was resurrected somehow and attempted to destroy the Lilty crystal again, but I killed him. Perhaps the reason you kept your powers, Lael, is the same reason why Amiditelion is here, Althea said, thinking. But a crystal bearer's powers can't be transferred, if that's what you're thinking, Lael said. He frowned, considering his words. He thought about when he woke Naruto's powers. Wait, can they? In theory, it should be possible if you are thinking that I can transfer my powers to Naruto, Amiditelion said. But I am not sure it is practical. He considered the situation. But I will try. He turned to Naruto and raised his hands to his torso, facing each other. A purple disk of energy formed between his hands, then floated to Naruto. The disk entered the blonde genin, who doubled over in pain. Naruto yelled out as a smooth yellow crystal formed along the spine on his back. As soon as the pain had begun, it ended. He rose unsteadily. That hurt, he said. I didn't think it would be that bad. I apologize for any discomfort you felt, Amiditelion said, bowing slightly. It's all right, Naruto said. Then the scene started to fade. Wait, what's going on? You're just waking up, don't worry, Lael said as he faded. 0:00:00:00. Naruto woke up with a start. He yawned as he went over what he learned in his mindscape and mentally asked, Hey guys! Yeah? /yes. Lael and Amiditelion respectively responded. What is it, Naruto? Althea asked in concern. Just checking to see if that wasn't a dream, Naruto explained. He took in his clothes and was surprised to see himself in his night clothes. I guess someone changed me while I was out. Just then his head started hurting like hell. Just as he thought that, Inari opened the door to check on him. When he saw that Naruto was awake, he started jumping and shouting in joy. NGH. Naruto grabbed his head. Inari, could you keep it down? My head is killing me. Also, could you put a cup of tea out while I wash up? Inari immediately quieted and said, Sorry, Naruto. Sure. I'll put some tea on the table. He left the room and went to set out the tea. Naruto got up and headed to the bathroom to wash up. He splashed his face with water and looked at himself in the mirror. Sure enough, he still had the crystal on his right cheek. He took off his shirt and saw that the crystal on his breastplate was still there, too. He moved so that he could see his back and saw his third crystal was there as well. Sighing, he cut off his connection with Lael and the others so he could take a quick shower, after which he put on some new clothes and re-established the connection. You should get some new clothes, Lael suggested. A shinobi shouldn't wear an orange jumpsuit. Yeah, I think I should. Naruto agreed as he headed downstairs. But most clothing stores in Konoha won't sell anything else. There is one, but I swore I'd never go there unless absolutely necessary. I guess this qualifies though. I just need to make sure that my custom order is durable. He stopped the conversation as he entered the kitchen, surprising everyone in it. He noticed that Zabuza and Haku were there. I thought you'd be out for at least a few more days, Naruto, Sakura said. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said as he sat down in an empty chair at the table, which had the cup of tea Nari put out on it. Naruto grabbed the cup and drank some tea before saying, I've always had a lot of stamina, so I recover quicker than most people. How long have I been out though? Only 2 days, Kakashi replied with his nose in his book. Hey, Dobe, what is that on your cheek? Sasuke asked as he looked at it. It looks like a crystal. That's because it is a crystal team, Naruto explained. It's part of my Kekkei Genkai. The shinobi were shocked at this. I didn't know you had a Kekkei Genkai, Sakura said. Honestly, I didn't either until I woke it up. Apparently, my ancestors put a few genjutsu on the genetics of it so that if someone was the last of the bloodline and they had no training for its abilities went and activated it, they would be forced to sleep so that they would get an explanation and the location of the clan scrolls. Naruto lied expertly. Can't tell them the truth. I'd get thrown in the wacky shack. Sasuke grunted. Pretty clever. What is your bloodline? This, Naruto said as he gave them a demonstration of his gravity powers by making the teacup float. Pure gravity manipulation. That's not much of a bloodline if that's all you can do. I'm not done, Naruto explained as he took out a kunai and threw it at the cup, which he cloaked in a barrier at the last second. I can also create barriers at will. Sasuke frowned. Okay, I'll admit that one is useful. There is another part, but I won't show it until I've read the clan scrolls. Otherwise I could screw up, Naruto said. Anyway, Kakashi interrupted. Now that you're up, we can leave, seeing as the bridge was finished yesterday. What about Zabuza and Haku? Sakura asked. We'll be coming with you since Kakashi and Naruto technically captured us, Zabuza said. Later, the shinobi stood at the completed bridge, facing the citizens of Wave. I guess this is goodbye, Tizuna said. Really? Thank you for everything. Don't worry, we were happy to help, Kakashi said with an eye smile. I hope you'll visit us sometime, Inari said, tearing up. We will, Naruto said. See ya. With that, the shinobi started leaving. The citizens waved at them before someone spoke. That kid, Tizuna said, drawing their attention. It's thanks to Naruto that we pulled through. He inspired Inari, who in turn inspired everyone else. Hey, now that the bridge is done, what are we gonna name it? A villager asked. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Tizuna asked, which was met with approval by many. Then it's settled. Are you sure you want to name the bridge fish cake? Asked one of the villagers who didn't cheer. No, his name means maelstrom, Inari corrected him. On the entire trip back, not much happened except Naruto testing and getting used to using his gravity powers. Okay, Quit showing off, dobe, Sasuke said when he saw Naruto using his powers to fly. I'm just getting used to using my bloodline, Naruto responded. I don't want to cause any problems on a mission if I can't use it correctly. Sasuke grumbled, but didn't argue after that. Sakura just looked at Naruto with a slightly envious look. What's wrong, Sakura? Naruto asked when he saw the look. Nothing, Sakura said as she looked away. Didn't look like nothing to me, Naruto said, frowning. I guess I just feel like I'm useless, Sakura said after a minute of silence. I mean, you have this gravity bloodline. Sasuke has the Sharingan, and I don't have anything to help. It's not easy having a bloodline, Sakura, Naruto said. I have to be careful using mine. Otherwise, I could end up hurting people I don't want to see hurt. Still, Sakura said sadly. Look, if you're worried about not being able to contribute to the team, maybe you should read up on medical jutsu, Naruto suggested. He then flipped so that he landed in front of the two Chunin guarding the gates of Konoha, surprising them. Kakashi and the others landed not a second later. Kakashi, you're slipping, one of the Chunin teased. A genin beat you to the gates. I wasn't really trying, Ao, Kakashi said, not looking up from his book. Anyway, we need to sign our prisoners in.
Vate ver ao responde.
After they signed Zabuza and Haku in, they headed to the Hokage Tower. Nothing much happened apart from the villagers glaring at Naruto. Haku glared back at them while Zabuza wanted to unleash a bit of ki at them. Naruto, why do they glare at you like that? Zabuza asked, getting the three genins' attention. Sorry, Zabuza, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, Naruto replied, which made Zabuza curious, but the former Mist Nin dropped it. When they got to the Hokage's office, Zabuza and Haku left their weapons with the secretary. The group entered the Hokage's office to find the third nearly in tears from the amount of paperwork on his desk. Still the same monotony, huh, old man? Naruto greeted the Hokage, which earned him a bonk on the head from Sakura. Naruto, show Lord Hokage some respect, she chastised him. The Hokage chuckled and said, It's all right, Sakura. Naruto and I have a deeper bond than leader and subordinate. But I am surprised to see Zabuza Momochi here. It turns out Tazuna lied about the mission, and it was revealed to be A rank, not the C rank we were given, Kakashi said before he gave his oral report. I see, Hiruzen said, leaning back. Why are you here, Zabuza? I would like to join the village, Lord Hokage. Very well, but you and Haku will have to be evaluated by Ibiki, then serve a month-long probation if you pass said evaluation. He called an ANBU, who escorted the two to the Menshioed interrogator. Naruto, what happened to your cheek? It looks crystallized, Hiruzen asked. Please don't tell me you activated your bloodline. My bloodline was activated, Naruto said, making the Hokage sigh. What's wrong? The Hokage responded, I really hoped your bloodline didn't activate until you were at least 16, Naruto. The council will be angry about this, but there is nothing they can do about it, since the laws are on your side. He looked at Sasuke and Sakura and addressed them. You two leave. I want as few people as possible to know about this. The two dismissed genin wanted to argue, but decided against it. The wizened Hokage activated the security seals in the office and then opened a drawer in his desk. He pulled out a scroll and handed it to Naruto, saying, This was written by your father shortly before he died. He wanted me to give it to you either when you activated your bloodline or when you turned 16, whichever came first. Naruto took the scroll and opened it. Naruto, I am truly sorry I will not be able to see you grow up. I can't say much as the nine-tailed fox demon is approaching. I know the civilians will have a hard time accepting you, but remember, you are not the fox, you are a human being, and on top of that, a descendant of the legendary crystal bearer Lael. It may be hard to believe, but it's the truth. You will be his last living descendant after tonight. Never give up and always keep your friends close. Prove to the civilians you are not the fox. Once again, I am sorry for placing this burden on you. I hope you can forgive me. Your father, Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage and Yellow Flash of Konoha. Naruto looked down after he finished reading the scroll. So my father is the same man who sealed the nine-tailed fox within me. Kakashi and the Hokage hung their heads at how sad Naruto was. But he was Hokage. How could a leader force any other parent to make a sacrifice like that? I understand his position, but I'm still going to slug him when I see him in the afterlife. This earned a chuckle from everyone seen and unseen. Is this all, old man? Not quite, the Hokage said. I have a feeling you're keeping something from me. Naruto sighed. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. He frowned. Is there a way for you to enter my mindscape? Everyone was shocked at this. Yes, why? The Hokage asked. It'll be easier to explain. The Hokage sighed as well. All right, I assume you want Kakashi to join us? Yes. Okay, let's see what you want to explain, the Hokage said as he stood up, went around his desk, and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder as Kakashi grabbed the other shoulder. Naruto then drew them into his mindscape. 00000000. Naruto's mindscape. The three shinobi woke up to find themselves in a sewer-like environment. My god, is this really your mindscape, Naruto? Hiruzen asked as he looked around. Yeah, I need to remodel the place, huh? Naruto half-joked. Only thing is, I don't know how. I could help you with that, Takashi said, alerting the older shinobi to his presence. Kakashi and the Hokage turned around and saw Takashi in all his glory. What do you want? Hiruzen asked cautiously. I just want to tell you what really happened the night I attacked the village, Takashi said before explaining. So that's why, Kakashi said. He could tell the fox wasn't lying. You made a foolish mistake. That about sums it up, Takashi said, nodding. Is that all? No, you also have us to talk to, Lael said as he, Althea, and Amidatilion faded into the shinobi's view. To say the Hokage and Kakashi were shocked would be an understatement. What the hell? Kakashi shouted. Calm down, Kakashi-senpai, Naruto said before introducing them and the bearers explaining themselves. I see, Hiruzen said. Well, this is surprising. I didn't know that Naruto's bloodline came from crystal bearers. Honestly, I didn't know that would happen until after it did, Lael said, scratching his crystal. That's all I wanted to tell you, Naruto said as he and the shinobi left. 000000. Real world. The three shinobi opened their eyes and found themselves back in the Hokage's office. The Hokage shook his head and sat down in the chair behind his desk. Well, that was enlightening, he said. Naruto, I would prefer it if you do not tell anyone about what we've talked about unless you absolutely trust him or her. Understand? Yes, Naruto replied. One thing. When can I move into my house? Just as soon as you sign the release forms, his grandfather figure said as he pulled out some documents. Naruto sat down, looked them over, then signed them. Well, that settles it. You can gather your things and move in today. Kakashi, would you accompany him? Of course, Lord Hokage, Kakashi replied, then left the office with Naruto. The two nin soon exited the building, accidentally bumping into Hinata Hyuga, a blue-haired, white-eyed shy girl who was wearing a heavy beige jacket with a mesh shirt under it and dark blue shinobi pants. Oh, sorry, Hinata, Naruto said. Why caused her to faint, blushing profusely from the close contact with the boy she had a huge crush on. Naruto caught her before she hit the ground. Kakashi-sensei, what did I do? Kakashi just gave a knowing eye smile and said, that would be telling now, wouldn't it? Naruto glared at his sensei before setting Hinata onto a bench and sat down next to her, waiting for her to wake up. Kakashi looked at them thinking, they would make a good couple. I wonder what I could do to get them together. He then began to plot about ways to do just that. Hinata woke up at that point and sat up, not noticing Naruto beside her until he said, You okay, Hinata? Hinata jumped, blushed and said, Eep.
Fine, Naruto-kun.
You sure? Naruto asked, noticing her blush. He placed his hand on her forehead. You don't have a fever, do you? Hinata's blush deepened as she thought, he's touching me. I am going to faint if he keeps this up. She took his hand off and said, I am fine. And Naruto, why you don't have to worry about me? You sure you're okay? Naruto asked her, to which she nodded. If you're sure, just don't overdo it. Okay? Okay. Well, Naruto said, standing up, I have to go. Maybe we could get some ramen together sometime? Hinata blushed again and thought, he asking me out? Would like teach that. Naruto smiled and said, cool. How about tomorrow at 3? Sure. I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto-kun. Yeah, see ya, Hinata-chan. He then left with Kakashi, leaving a profusely blushing Hinata, who was close to fainting again, behind him. Well, that was a surprise, Naruto, Kakashi said. Yeah, I don't know why I asked her out, Naruto replied, or why I added the suffix. It just felt right. Maybe you like her, Kakashi hinted. Naruto frowned in thought. Maybe, he said. I'll think about it tonight. The two walked in silence for the rest of the journey, each lost in their own thoughts. One thought they shared was that things were about to get interesting. 00000000000. Naruto and Kakashi stood in front of a gate that led to Naruto's inherited house. Though, house would be an understatement. Instead of the simple 4-bedroom house Naruto had expected, he saw a beautiful 3-story building with an overgrown side garden. The building looked pristine, as if people still lived in it. The garden was full of weeds and the grass was a bit high, but it still looked like a property one could live in. Naruto whistled. Nice place, but I thought my dad was humble, from what I've heard. Kakashi nodded and replied, he was. Your mother was the one who designed the house. Unfortunately, your father had no say in how it looked apart from the training grounds in the backyard, a meditation room, and a larger library than what Kushina wanted. Everything else was Kushina's idea. So, basically, my dad was whipped, Naruto said with a chuckle. Kakashi chuckled as well. I guess you could say that. He reached inside his pocket and pulled out 2 identical keys. Here, he said, handing them to Naruto. These are the keys to the estate. Thanks, sensei, Naruto said, accepting both. But why do you have them? Your father gave them to me to hold on to until you were the legal owner of your inheritance. Anyways, I have to be going. Wait, you're not going to stick around? No, Kakashi said. I have things to do. Oh, there won't be any training or missions tomorrow. I forgot to tell you earlier. That doesn't have anything to do with my plans tomorrow, does it? Naruto said, narrowing his eyes. Kakashi merely eye-smiled and said, maybe not. I just think you guys need a break. Later. At that, Kakashi vanished in a poof of smoke. Grumbling, Naruto unlocked the gate and walked in, relocking it afterwards. He did the same with the front door and examined the house thoroughly. The furniture was well kept. There wasn't even a speck of dust on anything, and the lights, water, and air conditioning worked. Naruto frowned when he discovered the last part. Did the old man turn everything back on? Meh, probably. I didn't even talk to him about that yet. He opened the fridge, but nothing was in there as he expected. I'll have to go shopping for food. Oh, well, that means more ramen. No, you will eat properly from now on, Naruto, Althea chastised him. But Naruto started to protest. No arguing, young man, Althea ordered. Fine. Naruto reluctantly agreed, but then he smiled. What is it? Lael asked his descendant. It's just, listening to Althea tell me what to eat kinda made me realize what I've been missing, Naruto explained. I've been an orphan for so long, so I've never known what it's like to have a family. It feels good. Everyone smiled at Naruto's admission, though no one could see Amidatelian's smile. After Naruto did his inventory check, he headed for the library to get a better look at it. When he realized how big it actually was, his jaw dropped. The library took a fourth of the space there was on the first floor. Scrolls detailing jutsu, seals, chakra control exercises, taijutsu, and books of history lined its walls. The jutsu were organized according to their elements, then further organized by rank. Medical jutsu were after the elemental jutsu, followed by non-elemental jutsu. The section for taijutsu styles was organized in the same way, as was the section for seals. The history books were categorized by order of events, then legends, and finally the clan's history. Finally, to the right of the entrance, were scrolls detailing the clan's Kekkei Genkai techniques and the taijutsu styles that involve said Kekkei Genkai. Whoa! Naruto shouted, looking at the scrolls. That's a big library. Kakashi-sensei wasn't kidding. There's gotta be at least 2,000 scrolls and books here total. That is the best estimate, Lael said, seeing everything through Naruto's eyes. It's gonna take years to learn all these, let alone master them. We could train in your mindscape, Takashi said. But you may want to do the remodeling first. I won't be able to help otherwise. How can I learn all these quicker in my mindscape? Time flows differently in your mindscape, Takashi explained. Hours could pass in here and it would only be a few minutes outside your mindscape. But we shouldn't do that, at least for your clan's taijutsu styles. You need the physical training as well. Though you could use shadow clones to help learn the theory, and then spar against them. Huh? How can shadow clones help? Naruto asked, making Takashi do the fox version of a face vault. You mean you didn't know that you learn everything your clones do? Takashi practically shouted. No, I didn't know that. Well, now you do, Takashi grumbled. I'll start on this after I get everything I need, Naruto thought, then made a few shadow clones and gave them specific instructions on what to get. I also need to go to that store to get a new set of clothes after I come up with what I want. Then it hit him. Yeah, that'll work. He found a blank scroll, sat down, and drew the clothes he wanted, detailing everything and leaving notes on the scroll. Soon he was finished. Now all I need to do is go to Thart's store. With that thought, he left, leaving behind a clone to open the gate for the rest of the clones when they returned. 0000000. Later, Naruto walked into the Shinobi's Path, the only weapon and clothing store for Ninja Run that was actually run by a ninja. The owners and employees never hated Naruto for his burden, and instead followed Minato's last wish, thinking of him as a hero. Naruto, grateful to them, shopped only at their store for weapons but never bought any clothes. But that would change today. The clerk looked up, saw Naruto, and smiled warmly. Ah, Naruto, she said. What can I do for you? Hey, Okichi. I need 8 sets of a special order done, Naruto said as he handed her the scroll. The clerk opened the scroll and looked over it, her eyebrows raised. After going through it, she nodded. Okay, the first should be done in a few hours, she said, handing it to another employee, who ran into the back room. If you want, you could wait here. I guess, Naruto said. While he waited, Naruto looked at the various clothes and weapons. About 10 minutes until the first set was expected to be done. The bell rang as another person entered the store. Naruto looked to see who it was, and felt his heart hit his ribcage when he saw it was Hinata. Hinata, what are you doing here? Hinata jumped slightly and, blushing, turned around to see Naruto. Well, I am restocking my Kekkei and Shuriken. But what are you doing here? And Naruto-kun. I'm waiting on a special order to be done, which is now finished ahead of schedule, Okichi said as she handed Naruto the set of clothes, making the genin jump. The changing room is over there, she said as she pointed to the rooms. Thanks, Naruto said. How much do I owe you? You'll have to wait for when the other 7 sets are done, Okichi said with a teasing smirk as she ruffled his hair. Naruto frowned for a second, then headed to the dressing rooms to change, grumbling at Okichi's actions. She can be so annoying. Hinata looked at Okichi. How do you know and Naruto-kun? Okichi smiled sadly. I've known him for years. My father and I found him hiding in the park during winter when he was 4. My father was furious when Naruto said the orphanage kicked him out. She shuddered at the memory. We took him to Hokage-sama, who unfortunately wasn't able to convince the civilian council to let father adopt him. Instead, Naruto's been living in an apartment provided by Hokage-sama. She gained a sad look. He's been through a lot, all for something he had no control over. Her eyes widened at her slip and she immediately closed her mouth. Is something wrong? Hinata asked. I'm not allowed to talk about it, Okichi said. Please don't press the issue. She then changed the subject. So, I've heard a few rumors about you and Naruto, Hinata. Hinata blushed badly. Don't know what YYU mean. Don't deny it, Hinata. I can tell you have it bad for him, Okichi said, giggling. Hinata pressed her fingers together. Is it that obvious? She whispered. Not really, Okichi lied to help her. But listen, Naruto doesn't know what it means to care about someone like how you care about him. You'll have to be patient, but I think you two would make a great couple. Your kids would look adorable. Hinata blushed again, this time nearly fainting at the thought of having Naruto's children. Hinata, are you okay? Naruto asked as he reappeared in his new clothes and saw Hinata's face. Hinata turned to look and promptly fainted with an extremely red face, a slight nosebleed, and only one thought. My Kami. He's hot. Naruto had replaced his orange jacket with a black version of Lail's jacket. On the back were 3 symbols forming a triangle. The red swirl he had on his previous jacket was near the base of his neck, the clavet symbol in white near his left hip, and the lilty symbol in white as well near his right. He was wearing a standard dark blue ninja shirt under his jacket, black ninja slacks, and black ninja sandals. Naruto rushed up to Hinata and caught her before she hit the floor. Hinata? What happened, Okichi? Okichi just smirked. Maybe it was your new look, Naruto. Huh? Okichi giggled. One day you will understand what I mean. But not today, 'cause I'm not saying anything. Why not? 'Cause it's more fun that way. Hinata woke up with a sleepy moan. Hinata, are you okay? Naruto asked her.
Fine, Naruto-kun.
What made you faint? Yul look hot. Hinata said in a half-asleep daze, then blushed as she realized what she said and who she said it to. Close to fainting again, she pressed her fingers together as she looked away from Naruto. Naruto was blushing badly as well. Why, you think I look hot? Hinata nodded, not trusting her voice. Naruto blushed more at her confirmation. Naruto stuttered. Okay, you too. This is a store, not a couple's restaurant, Okichi said, attempting to dissolve the tension. It worked somewhat. The two genin broke apart, but didn't look at each other. I'll see you tomorrow, Hinata. How about we meet at Ichiraku's? Naruto said, leaving. Okay, Hinata said, moving to buy her replacement weapons. Okichi just looked at the two in turn, then mentally sighed. That went well, she thought sarcastically. I hope they get past this. She ringed up Hinata's purchases and watched the Hyuga leave. Naruto, if only you knew how she feels about you. I don't want you to be lonely. You're like a brother to me. She then realized what Naruto had said before he left. Wait, they're going on a date tomorrow? She smirked. Well, maybe I could do something to help them. And so she began to plot. 0:00:00:00. Next day, Sakura and Sasuke waited at the bridge that became their normal meeting spot, waiting for Kakashi and Naruto. Naruto's never this late, Sakura said, looking around. It's been 2 hours since the assigned meeting time, but only Kakashi-sensei is this late. You're right, Sasuke said, but he probably lost track of time reading his clan scrolls. Maybe, but even then, he shouldn't be this late. Who wouldn't be this late? A voice said, and the two genin turned to see the blonde in question. Their jaws dropped as they took in his clothes. Naruto, is that you? Sakura asked, shocked to see her teammate's wardrobe change. Yeah, Naruto said, walking by. Wait, where are you going? Sasuke demanded. Kakashi-sensei's gonna be here any second. You called, Kakashi joked as he appeared. You're late, Sakura yelled at him, making everyone wince at how loud she was. I know, Kakashi said, rolling his visible eye, which annoyed Sakura. Anyway, I forgot to mention yesterday that you have today off. Sakura and Sasuke face-vaulted. You forgot, they yelled at him. Yeah, I did. Sorry. Sakura grumbled at her sensei as Sasuke said, "Well, that was a waste of time. See ya." He started to leave. Sakura turned to Sasuke and said, "Sasuke-kun, maybe we could dash." "No, Sakura." Sasuke turned her down before she finished. "Oh," Sakura said, her eyes downcast. "Oh, Sakura," Naruto said, getting her attention. "Here." He handed her some scrolls on medical jutsu he took from his library. Sakura raised her eyebrows when she saw their contents. "Medical jutsu? Where did you get these?" "That is a secret," Naruto said. "But don't worry, I didn't steal them." "You better not have," Sakura threatened. Naruto looked at the sun's position and yelped. "Crap, I'm gonna be late." He ran off. "See you later," he called back. Sakura blinked and turned to Kakashi. "What was that about?" Kakashi smiled and said, "You didn't hear it from me, and I don't want you spreading this around, but he's got a date with Hinata today." "What?" Sakura yelled in shock. "Hinata? When did he ask her out?" "Not telling," Kakashi said before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Sakura stood in thought for a few seconds, then ran off, determined to see what would happen on the date. 000000. With Hinata. Hinata stood in front of Ichiraku's in a lavender blouse, blue shorts, and her shinobi sandals, waiting for Naruto. And maybe he won't see come. And maybe I scared him off yesterday. She heard someone call her name and turned to see the blonde in question. She blushed as she thought, he still looks hot. "Hey, Hinata. Sorry I'm late. I had an errand to run, and I didn't think it would take as long as it did." "I'm really sorry," Naruto said, apologizing. It's okay," Hinata said. She started to walk into Ichiraku's when Naruto grabbed her hand and turned her around. "We're not eating at Ichiraku's, Hinata," Naruto said before he led her along for a few minutes until they reached a restaurant. "Ah, here we are." Hinata looked at the restaurant and felt her jaw drop. "And Naruto-kun, this is the second most expensive restaurant in Kekkei. I can't let you spend money on me here." She really didn't want Naruto to go broke just because he was taking her on a date. "WESH should go somewhere else." Naruto shook his head. "It's fine, Hinata. I can afford it." "Even so, this is too expensive. Especially FF for a FFF first DDD date." She blushed at the last part. Naruto blushed as well. "Really, it's fine. And no, I can't accept this. Please. Can't we go somewhere else?" She looked at him with puppy eyes, making him sweat a bit. Naruto sighed after a second and said, "Okay, if it's that important to you, how about you decide?" In Naruto's mindscape, Lael chuckled at his descendant's predicament and said, "Naruto's so whipped, and they aren't even dating." Althea crossed her arms and asked, "Whipped, Lael?" Lael's sweat dropped and stuttered, Well. Be quiet, Lael," Althea said, turning her attention back outside. "Yes, dear," Lael said as he hung his head. Takashi chuckled and thought, "Now who's whipped?" Back in the real world, Hinata stopped at a more suitable restaurant for a first date. How about here, Naruto-kun?" The restaurant was Dendai Don's, which served all kinds of food, from hamburgers to ramen, and everything in between. Naruto looked at the restaurant and nodded, saying, "Sure, Dendai Don's is a good place." The two walked in and saw that not a lot of people were there. Must be a slow day, Naruto thought as a waiter walked up. The waiter looked at Naruto like he was scum on his boots and said, "I'm sorry, but we're booked for the day. I'm afraid you'll have to go somewhere else." Naruto frowned and said, "What do you mean you're booked? This place isn't even half full." "Excuse me," a voice said, "but what were you saying, Rai?" The three turned to see the owner, Dendai Don himself, coming towards them in chef's clothes with a frown on his face. Rai, the waiter, began to sweat a little. Nothing, Dendai, sir." Rai tried to falsely explain. "Liar," Dendai said. "I heard what you told them. One more mess up like that and you can consider yourself fired. Understand?" "Why, yes, sir," Rai said. Good. Now show our guests to their seats, Dendai said. Yes, sir, Rai said, and showed Naruto and Hinata to a small booth away from everyone else. He gave them menus and said, "Please wait one moment. Your server will be here to take your orders soon." With that, Rai left after shooting a hidden glare at Naruto. What was that about? And Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, trying to figure out why Rai seemed to hate him. Naruto hesitated before he said, "It's nothing, Hinata. Don't worry about it." Hinata looked in his eyes and saw that he was lying. Why would he lie? Does he think he can't trust me? Hinata looked downcast until Naruto spoke up. "What are you going to order?" Hinata jumped slightly and looked at her menu. I think I'll order a medium rare steak with fries and a pea potato. What about you, Naruto-kun? I think I'll get the same, Naruto said. At that point, the server came and said, "Hi, I'm Lin, and I'll be your server today. What can I get you?" She wrote down the genin's orders as they said them, and then she asked, "Okay, what would you like to drink?" Some TW would be okay, Hinata said. "And you, sir?" Lin asked, narrowing her eyes fractionally. "Some tea as well," Naruto said. "Got it," Lin said, writing down both orders. "I'll be back shortly with your drinks." She left to get their drinks and to take their orders to Dendai Don. "So, Hinata," Naruto began, "how about you tell me more about yourself, and I'll do the same?" Hinata nodded shyly and said, "Oh, okay." She then started telling him about herself, shyly at first but became more confident as she talked. Naruto listened intently as she talked, encouraging her when she fell silent or hesitated. He learned that her favorite foods were zensai and cinnamon buns, and her least favorite food was shellfish. Her hobbies were flower pressing, cooking, and trying to improve her clan's techniques. When Naruto asked why about the latter, she said the clan's taijutsu style didn't seem to work with her. She said part of her dream was to unite her clan, but refused to say what the other part was, instead blushing furiously when Naruto tried to get her to tell him. While she talked, Lin arrived with their drinks and told them their food would be done soon, to which they nodded. Hinata finished soon after that and fell into silence, blushing slightly from opening up to her crush so much. Naruto smiled and thanked her, which made her blush more, then started telling her about himself as well. Hinata listened intently, making a mental note when Naruto mentioned his like for sweets. She encouraged him as well and shyly prodded for details. She already knew his favorite food was ramen, but shyly offered to cook for him sometimes when he said his least favorite foods were vegetables. They both blushed badly, but managed to keep talking. Naruto said his hobbies were pranking and gardening, the latter of which surprising Hinata. He then restated his dream of becoming the greatest Hokage, to which she said something that made him blush. I know why you will be and Naruto-kun." Hinata blushed at her words. Naruto, after toning down his blush, smiled gently and said, "Thanks, Hinata. I'm glad that I have some people to support me." Hinata blushed more and smiled at him. Their food arrived at that point. They thanked Lin, said a brief prayer of thanks, and started eating. They ate in silence until Hinata asked Naruto something that had been bothering her.
And Naruto-kun.
What is that blue object on your right cheek? Naruto scratched his crystal.
Yeah.
Well, Naruto stammered before he looked around for eavesdroppers. There were none. He leaned in close and whispered, "Can you keep a secret?" Hinata nodded, confused. "This crystal identifies me for who I am and who my ancestors were. I have another on my breastplate and one on my back along the spine." "What do you mean, who my ancestors were?" Hinata asked, confused. "My ancestors were the crystal bearers Lael and his wife Althea Sol Alfiteria," Naruto explained, shocking Hinata. "This crystal on my cheek shows that Lael's powers over gravity have been passed on to me. The crystal on my breastplate shows that Althea's powers over barriers have been passed to me as well. Why, you're the last living descendant of the Lael and Althea Sol Alfiteria?" Hinata whispered in shock.
Yere royalty. And Naruto-kun.
"No, I'm not," Naruto denied. The Lilty kingdom has faded, Hinata. I'm no more royal than any of the civilians, and I don't want any special treatment because of my lineage. That's why I'm telling you. I know you won't treat me any different because of it. Please, Hinata, don't tell anyone. I won't. And Naruto-kun, Hinata promised. But be by definition why you are our royalty. You seek and ask El Lord Hokage if why you're not as sure. I guess I can ask him, Naruto said.
And Naruto-kun.
See can I see your P-powers over G-gravity and B-barriers? Not here, Hinata, Naruto said, glancing around to check for eavesdroppers again and finding none. I'll show you if you want to see them, but somewhere with no one around. Okay? He started eating again. Okay, Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she started eating again, eager to see his powers. After they were finished, Lin came by, took their empty plates and gave them the check. Naruto paid the full 1,500 Ryo bill and left Lin a tip of 750 Ryo. The two genin left Dendai Dons and headed to the training field so Naruto could show Hinata his powers. They arrived at the field to find it deserted. Hinata looked at the sun's position to check the time and gasped. What's wrong? Naruto asked. My Team W will BBHH here as soon. Hinata explained quickly. I forgot we have a meeting today. Why you have to leave? I'll be in trouble with Kekkei sensei for forgetting. And I don't want you in trouble either. Too late, Naruto said, looking behind him. Hinata turned around to see her team standing there. Kurenai Yuhi, a woman in her 20s with long and slightly curly black hair, red eyes wearing a battle dress that looked like battle wrappings, was looking at the two genin in front of her with mild amusement, slight annoyance, and some confusion on her face. Shino Aburame, a boy with spiky black hair who always hid his eyes behind sunglasses and wore a gray coat that covered the lower half of his face, had his eyebrows raised. Kiba Inuzuka, a boy with spiky brown hair, brown eyes, and red fong tattoos on his cheeks wearing a gray jacket with the hood up, was glaring at Naruto, wanting to kill him. Akamaru, Kiba's little white-haired dog that usually rode on his master's head, looked like he was smirking. Well, Hinata, this is a surprise, Kurenai said, not recognizing Naruto in his new outfit. I thought you liked Naruto. Who's this? Naruto just raised his eyebrows and said, I am Naruto. Kiba and Kurenai looked shocked for a second before Kiba yelled, Liar! Naruto wears an orange jumpsuit. Who the hell are you? Kiba, use your nose and your brain, Naruto said. My last mission made me start to take my ninja career seriously. Kiba just scoffed. You really think I'm gonna believe that? You don't know anything about Naruto, do you? I am Naruto, Naruto restated, starting to get annoyed with the Inuzuka. That's it. You're going down, faker, Kiba said as he shot at Naruto. Naruto just jumped back until he was a safe distance from the others, making Kiba go after him. Kurenai was about to yell at Kiba before Naruto looked at her and gave her a silent message. I'll deal with him. Kiba shouted, tunneling Fong, as he spun his body and turned into a gray sideways tornado aimed at Naruto. Naruto waited until he was 10 feet away before his right hand made a translucent light blue sphere with cubes fading into and out of existence in a circle around the sphere. A translucent light blue half-sphere surrounded Naruto as Kiba closed in. The Inuzuka hit the barrier, fought it for a few seconds, then was thrown back as Naruto expanded it. Kiba landed on the ground in a heap and said, What the? He looked at who he believed was a fake Naruto to see the barrier around him and the sphere in his hand. Okay, that proves you're not Naruto. He can't do anything like that. Naruto just shook his head as he dropped the barrier. You idiot. You're ignoring your nose. Bad idea. Kiba growled and shot at him again, this time attempting to punch him. Naruto encased his hand in blue and purple energy and waited until he was in striking distance. Kiba, however, was cautious and dodged the punch and landed a punch of his own, sending Naruto flying back a few feet. But that was what Naruto wanted, as Kiba was surrounded by the same energy surrounding Naruto's hand. Wah dash, Kiba managed to say before he was yanked towards Naruto, who spun in midair. Kiba flew forward and up in a quarter circle before the energy that was surrounding him vanished, making the unprepared boy fly into a tree trunk with a loud wham. The Inuzuka slid down the tree and landed on the ground in a heap as Team 8 ran over to check on him. Kurenai checked her student and said, "Well, he's got a few bruises, but that's it. Thank you for not doing anything worse, Naruto." "Well, I didn't want to do anything else, but I want to know why he didn't believe me," Naruto responded. "That is most likely because he is very protective of Hinata." "Naruto," Shino said, adjusting his sunglasses. "He thinks of her as a sister, as do I, and neither of us want her to be taken advantage of. He threw out common sense when he did not recognize you." "Well, that's just stupid," Naruto said. "Then again, I can't talk, since I hardly used common sense before." "Ugh," Kiba groaned as he woke up. He opened his eyes and saw Naruto. "Why you dash?" He moved to attack Naruto but was stopped by Hinata. "Don't you hurt Naruto-kun," she said as she used a gentle fist strike to disable him. Her eyes widened when she realized what she did, as did everyone else's. She gasped and her hands flew to her mouth in shock. "Oh, ow, wow," Kiba groaned, holding his stomach. Hinata. What are you doing?" "Kiba, calm down. Naruto is not an imposter," Kurenai said. "Huh? He's not." Kiba sniffed and recognized Naruto's scent. "You're right. Wait, that means dash. Oh crap. I'm sorry, Naruto," Kiba said, feeling guilty. "Just don't do it again, Kiba," Naruto said. "Naruto-kun, see, could I talk to you for a second? Privately?" Hinata asked while blushing, shocking her team. "Sure," Naruto said, and led her far enough away so her team couldn't hear them, but could see them. "What is it?" "WLIIW wanted to ask you if why you're free to teach this FF Friday," Hinata said, blushing profusely. "IID don't have a T-Team M meeting, and W wanted to know if why you wow would Lee like Toto Jigo o you out to then?" "I'll have to check with Kakashi-sensei. But yeah, I'd like to go out again," Naruto said, blushing as well. Hinata nearly fainted in joy. She had just gone on a date with Naruto, and here he was saying he would like to go out again. Her head swam, and she nearly collapsed, if not for Naruto catching her. "Whoa, you okay, Hinata?" Naruto asked in concern, his eyes peering into hers. "Whoa, her eyes are just, wow, why didn't I notice that before?" His eyes. They're so deep, Hinata thought as her heart hammered against her chest. "Why yes, I think so," she said as she straightened up. Naruto wasn't too sure, but trusted her judgment and let go. "Okay, but if you feel dizzy you should sit down, okay?" "Okay." Naruto hesitated, then said, "I'll see if I'm free on Friday, and let you know." Sure," Hinata said, moving to rejoin her team. "Ashinata?" Naruto asked shyly, and the Hyuga turned around. He hesitated, and then gently and shyly grabbed her chin.
"And Naruto-kun?"
Hinata asked, shocked, before her lips shyly met his. Her eyes widened as she blushed a deep crimson before she closed them, feeling that her heart was about to burst. Naruto pulled away, blushing just as deeply as Hinata, and said, "I'll see you later, Hinata-chan." He then left, making sure that the rest of Team 8 couldn't see any more of his blush than they had. Hinata just stood there in shock before slowly bringing a shaking hand to her lips, still blushing. He JJJ just KKK kissed me. Tears of joy started to fall from her eyes as she collapsed to her knees, hardly believing what just happened. Her heart kept hammering against her chest as she went through what happened over and over before her mind couldn't take it anymore, and she fainted with a blissful smile on her face. Her team just stood their jaws dropped. Naruto just kissed Hinata, and only after one date, they could hardly believe that she was getting the man she set her sights on so soon. Kiba and Shino made mental vows to make sure to beat Naruto to a pulp if he hurt her, while Kurenai made a vow to torture him if he did the same. They snapped out of their dazes as they saw Hinata faint and rush to her, knowing that things were getting really interesting. Naruto shuddered and thought, Why do I have the feeling that I'd be in a lot of pain if I hurt Hinata? 0000000. Sakura, who had watched Naruto and Hinata throughout the whole date, was thinking the same thing as Team 8, but also thinking this was a real juicy story she had. She didn't hear what Naruto said about his lineage in Dendai Dons. Nor did she hear Hinata ask Naruto out on another date, but she didn't care. She had something she could tease her teammate about for a long time. Sakura chuckled at the thought of Naruto's reaction when he finds out she knows about his first real kiss. 0000000. Naruto was walking down the street, thinking. He didn't know why he kissed Hinata. He just did. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that she asked him out on another date. Or something like that. Yeah, that had to be it. An ANBU dropped in front of him and said, Naruto Uzumaki, the council has requested your presence. Naruto snapped out of his daze and said, When? Immediately. You were expected to be there 10 minutes ago, but I could not find you due to your wardrobe change. The ANBU placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder and shine to the doors of the council room, bringing Naruto with him. He took his hand off and left immediately. Naruto knocked on the doors and entered after he was told to. He saw that all the clan heads were there as well as the civilian council, the latter of which glaring at him. Hiruzen smiled briefly at Naruto, who nodded. May I ask why I have been summoned? Naruto asked. Don't give us that. A civilian councilman barked at him. You were supposed to be here 10 minutes ago. Sorry for the delay. The ANBU sent to find me was expecting to see me wearing an orange jumpsuit. Kind of hard to find someone when they don't wear what they usually do. In any case, you're here now, Hiruzen said. Now, what is the matter about? Hamura, an elder on the council, stood up and said, We have received word from Naruto's teammate, Sasuke Uchiha, that Naruto apparently has a bloodline. We would like to see proof of such claims. Naruto sighed and pulled out a kunai. He tossed it into the air and grabbed it with his gravity powers, making it float in midair. Is that enough proof? Kotaru, another elder, said, That could be a trick. I say dash. No, it is not. Hayashi Hyuga, Hinata's father and head of the Hyuga clan, said, his Byakugan active. This is indeed a bloodline, a very ancient one, in fact. What do you know about it, Hayashi-sama? Danzo, a third elder, asked curiously. This bloodline stems from before the age of shinobi, Hayashi explained. The first person to carry the bloodline was someone we all have heard about, the crystal bearer Lael. The rest of the council minus Shikaku Nara was shocked. Elel? Kotaru asked. This boy is a descendant of Lael? He is, Hiruzen said. That also makes him the last living descendant of Althea Sol Aphiteria as well. And he has inherited her bloodline as well. Daiki Haruno, Sakura's father, stood up and said, Naruto-sama, I would like to arrange a marriage contract between you and my daughter Dash. No, I will not marry anyone who loves me only for my title. Naruto interrupted him. You can forget about your contract. Daiki sat down, annoyed. He thought Naruto liked his daughter and would jump at the chance to be with her. Regardless, Naruto-san, you will have to go through the Clan Restoration Act, Hamura said, smirking. If you do not find at least 2 wives by the time you are a chunin, we, the council, will be able to select for you. Naruto frowned for a second before asking, May I see the wording of the Clan Restoration Act, so I can be sure that that's true? Hiruzen had an ABNU bring a law book and gave it to Naruto, telling him which section to turn to. Naruto turned to the section on the CRA and read it, frowning. As he read more, he started smirking, which made the civilian Kusal worried while the Shinobi Council wondered what was going through his head. Then Naruto started chuckling, making the Shinobi side think he found a loophole, which he did. What is so funny, Naruto-san? Kotaru asked. You can't force me to take multiple wives, Naruto said. The CRA states that if only 3 or fewer males remain of a clan, and no females of said clan remain, they may take more than 1 wife, under the approval of the current Hokage. If they decide to take multiple wives, they may let the current Hokage decide for them, after they state how many wives they will take. Only a Hokage will be able to decide the wives in this case, with no exceptions. They may not are required. I decide for myself if I want more than one wife, and if I choose to have more than one, only the Hokage may choose them if I don't want to choose them. You, the council, can't force me to do anything. He handed the lawbook back to Hiruzen, who checked to see if Naruto was right. Hiruzen chuckled and said, Naruto is indeed correct. That is what is stated in the CRA. He and I will discuss this later. The civilian council was shocked while the shinobi council was smirking. Now, as this matter is ended, is there anything else that concerns Naruto? The council shook their heads. Then you are dismissed. The entire council filed out, save for Hayashi, Hiruzen, and Naruto. Hayashi turned to Naruto. Naruto-san, I would like to speak with you for a moment, if you can spare the time. Naruto responded, Sure. What is it? I would like to discuss forming a marriage contract between yourself and my daughter Hinata. She does not care for social status, but would instead love a man for who he is rather than his title. All I ask is that you get to know her better before you make a decision. Naruto chuckled nervously and said, Well, I've already gone out on a date with her. I already know that you had asked her on a date, but I did not know it was today. Naruto started to get more nervous now. Yeah. Well, I kinda also kissed her. He tensed, waiting for the explosion. Hayashi just raised an eyebrow, ignoring the fatherly anger that rose up in him. Then you are willing to create a marriage contract between the two of you? I don't know, Hayashi-san, Naruto said, extremely uncomfortable. I don't really know how I feel about her. If you would allow me time to sort out my feelings, I would appreciate it. That is acceptable, Hayashi said, nodding. I can give you 1 month, but not any longer. Why 1 month? Hiruzen asked. Because the Hyuga Elder Council is attempting to marry her off to other clans not from this village. They are quite adamant about it. Naruto sighed. I guess I don't have a choice. All right, I'll let you know in a month. Hayashi bowed slightly. Thank you. I hope you won't regret whatever decision you come to. With that, he left. Naruto, I hope you know what you are doing, Hiruzen said. Hayashi is only trying to protect Hinata, Naruto finished. I can tell he doesn't want her to be miserable, nor does he want her to move away from Konoha. I think that's why he jumped at the chance when he learned about my bloodline. That may be, but he may make the contract so that it benefits him more, Hiruzen said. Maybe, Naruto said, smirking. But he doesn't know that I have someone who can deal with that. He touched his index and middle fingers to his temple to indicate. Hiruzen nodded, smirking. Is there something else you wish to discuss, besides the CRA? One thing. When I told Hinata about my heritage, she said that I'm royalty. But the Lilty kingdom has faded. Am I considered royalty regardless? Hiruzen leaned back, thinking about how to word it. Well, you have the blood of a royal family running through your veins. That in itself would make you royalty, regardless of whether the kingdom still exists or not. But that does not mean you are entitled to every aspect that a daimyo is entitled to. But be warned, Naruto, when people find out about your lineage, many daimyos will want you to marry their daughters. Some will even try to bribe you into it. But you don't have to worry about our daimyo. He will most likely send his daughter here only for her to get to know you, and see if you would marry her then. He would rather see his daughter happy than miserable. You said will, Naruto said, frowning. Does that mean he already knows? Unfortunately, yes, Hiruzen said. I'm sorry. But he told me to tell him if anyone with Namikaze's blood was alive after Takashi's forced attack. Naruto sighed and said, What a drag! A few miles away, a certain lazy ninja sneezed. Hiruzen chuckled. Now, Naruto, what are you going to do about the CRA? I don't know, old man, Naruto said. I would prefer to have only one wife, but I may fall for multiple women. I know that hardly happens outside of perverted romance novels. At this, a certain white-haired Sannin violently sneezed. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. I don't know what to decide. Maybe you should wait until you're of legal marrying age to decide, Hiruzen suggested. Naruto thought for a second, then nodded. Yeah, I think I'll do that. He stood up. See ya, old man. Take care, Naruto. I just hope that when the village hears about your bloodline, it doesn't cause too much paperwork. Have you ever tried using shadow clones? Naruto asked, stopping in front of the doors. They were a real help with fixing up my house. I know I'll use them when I'm Hokage. Hiruzen just sat there before he hit his head on the table muttering, "Stupid, stupid, stupid. Why didn't I ever think of that?" Naruto just chuckled and left. Hiruzen shunshined to his office, created a few shadow clones, and finished his paperwork 5 times faster. 0:00:00:00. Next day, Naruto was headed to the meeting point for his team thinking. For some reason, his thoughts kept drifting back to Hinata, though he was trying not to think about her at the moment. It wasn't helping that Takashi kept sending him images of when he kissed the pale-eyed girl. He thought about his training in his mindscape the day before, after he changed it to a forest after Takashi explained how. Amidatilian decided to teach him a few Tier 1 spells, though he only learned Cure, Gravity, Zero Gravity, Barrier, and Arrow, though he quickly mastered Gravity and Zero Gravity due to his natural affinity for gravity. Barrier and Arrow were not far behind, but Cure he needed a lot of work on. Amidatilian also taught him how to summon tame zoos and behemoths, though he only could summon small ones so far. He also trained in the Gravity Fist Taijutsu style outside of his mindscape using clones, but was far from perfecting it since the scroll detailing it was as big as his arm. But at least he was making progress. He arrived before his teammates and decided to work on his control of gravity by making the water float and try to form the symbols of the 4 tribes. He managed to make the clavet and lilty symbols, but couldn't maintain them as he tried to make the selkie symbol. He gave up as he heard footsteps coming toward him after an hour and immediately placed the water back in the stream below the bridge. He turned to see Sasuke and Sakura walking toward him. Sasuke had a confused look on his face, but Sakura had a glint in her eyes that Naruto didn't like for some reason. "Morning," Naruto said in greeting. "HN," Sasuke replied as he leaned on the rail next to Naruto. "Morning," Sakura replied before asking with an evil grin. "I saw that your date with Hinata went well, if that kiss was anything to go by." Naruto, blushing a deep crimson normally found on Hinata, responded by throwing his female teammate into the stream with his powers as Sasuke stared at him in shock. "How the hell do you know about that?" Naruto yelled at her. "Kakashi-sensei told me about the date, and I decided to, spy on you?" Sakura answered shakily, cause Naruto's expression scared her, regardless of the blush on his face. Naruto glared at her for a few seconds, then gained an evil smile. "Okay. Kakashi-sensei's gonna get it now." Sakura sighed in relief as she hauled herself out of the stream before Naruto added, "But don't think you're off the hook yet, Sakura." Sakura groaned and hung her head. "I knew it was a bad idea to mention it. Now he's really mad at me." Naruto turned to Sasuke. "And why the heck did you tell your guardians about my bloodline?" Sasuke responded, "If I have to go through the CRA, so do you. You don't have to. The CRA is completely optional. You get to choose if you want to take multiple wives, and if you do but don't want to choose them, only the Hokage can choose for you. The council can't do anything about it," Naruto explained. Sasuke frowned, then said, "Hamura and Kotaru said it was required. They didn't know the exact wording. I asked to check when they tried to force it on me." At that point, Kakashi showed up. "Yo!" he managed to say before he was attacked by a flock of zoos as big as his hand. "Whoa!" he screamed as he fell into the stream and disappeared in a puff of smoke, showing that it was a shadow clone. The real Kakashi called out, "Call off the zoos and I'll come out, Naruto." Naruto grumbled and summoned a portal to send them back. The zoos immediately flew into it except one, which landed on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto closed the portal as Kakashi came out and rhetorically asked, "I take it Sakura told you?" "Yes," Naruto replied, glaring at his sensei. "You're lucky I can't summon Bahamut." Kakashi paled, got on his knees and said, "Please don't sick him on me when you're able to." "Who's Bahamut? And what is that strange bird?" Sakura asked, looking at the zoo warily, as if it would attack her. "Bahamut is a dragon summon that has existed since the time of the 4 tribes," Naruto said as he stroked its neck. "And this little creature is a zoo." That spelled Ziyu. He's a miasma monster that has been tamed for use by people. A monster from miasma? Sakura asked, eyes wide. How? Spots with miasma streams are in the single digits, and none of them spawn zoos or anything too dangerous. Zoos can live away from miasma, as can some subspecies of behemoths, which can also be tamed. How do you know that? Sasuke asked. I found a few books with information on monsters. Anyway, Kakashi said, getting the Genin's attention, I'm gonna be training you harder this month. On our last mission we got lucky, but next time we may not be. So prepare to go through hell. His eyes glinted malevolently, making his students wonder what was in store for them. 00000000000. It had been 2 weeks since Kakashi started training his genin to the ground. They learned a lot but were sore after every training session. Naruto had even collapsed during the first one when he dispelled 60 of his 70 clones at the same time after they learned the 3 Winjutsus Kakashi set them to learn, which caused the remaining 10 to dispel in the middle of chakra control exercises. Kakashi then ordered him to use only 10 clones to train, since he didn't want his student to kill himself from memory overload. Sasuke had increased his repertoire of fire jutsu and even learned a few lightning jutsu, as well as improving his chakra control and capacity. Sakura had the worst time, as she was physically the weakest of the team. Her stamina and chakra capacity improved quickly, to the point where she could walk up and down the trees in the training grounds 3 times without resting compared to Naruto's new 8 times and Sasuke's 5 times. She also learned a few water and earth jutsu, as well as working on the medical jutsu scrolls Naruto had lent her. After every session, the team was too exhausted to do anything else besides go home and rest, then do 3 missions the next day to make their mission quota. Fortunately for Naruto and Hinata, Kakashi had given his team a day off on Friday. The two had discussed the kiss they shared and agreed to wait to see where their relationship would go, and decided to go around town and spend time together. Apart from one incident with a drunk villager at Ichiraku's, the date went well, but Naruto was still unsure about how he felt, while Hinata fell even more in love with him. Naruto asked her out again for Wednesday, as they both were free that day. Naruto bought a bouquet of tulips, white roses, and purple lilacs for Hinata, who accepted the bouquet with a blush and a kiss on the cheek. She knew what the flowers symbolized, and hoped the boy in front of her was falling for her. They walked around town and talked to each other, each wanting to know more about the other. Right now, they were sitting on a bench in the park, talking about how they were doing with their teams and their completed missions. Geez, I never knew Kakashi-sensei could be such a slave driver, Naruto complained after finishing his explanation of his team's new training schedule. Hinata giggled. He probably doesn't want anything bad happening again. Like your C rank T turned A rank M mission. Naruto frowned, then smiled. Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, completely right. So, how's your training been going? It's going well, Hinata said, surprising those who heard her. She wasn't stuttering as much as before, after all. Kurenai-sensei is teaching us Jinjutsu, and has instructed us to learn whatever jutsu we want to learn on our own time. What are you trying to learn? Wait, let me guess. Medical jutsu, right? Naruto asked. Why yes, but it has been difficult to try to learn. Because the Seal clan elders are trying to force me into an arranged marriage with a duke of our country, Hinata said, tearing up. Naruto noticed and asked, Is it that bad, Hinata-chan? You can tell me. And not here, Hinata said, glancing around while fighting the tears that threatened to escape. See, can we go somewhere quieter? Naruto nodded. Sure. He stood up, took her hand, and led her to a deserted training field. Are the elders really that bad, Hinata-chan? Tears started falling from Hinata's eyes as she explained, crying into Naruto's shirt. They are insistent that I am marry this duke that is older than my father. But I don't want to. They think I am weakening the BL bloodline. Because I inherited my mother's personality. They say I'm a st stain on the Seal clan's name. And want me to marry him to restore the honor of the Seal clan. But that's and not I don't want to marry that duke. I'm already in low love with you. I don't want to leave you. Naruto stood there, shocked. He was furious that the elders of her clan said those things to her, and that they were trying to marry her off to a guy older than her father. He was further shocked that she said she was in love with him. He hugged her as he thought about how he felt about her. I don't think I love her yet. But I'll be damned if I let them take her from me. I won't let them. I don't want to lose her. Slow down there, lover boy, Takashi said. She doesn't know about me, or of the others here. If you intend to be with her, there cannot be any secrets between the two of you. He's right, Naruto, Althea said. Not only will you have to tell her about us, but you will have to tell her Abu your father, as well as make that marriage contract Hayashi mentioned. Is that what you want? Naruto closed his eyes, thinking hard. He didn't want to lose her. He would be devastated if she left Konoha. Left him. His eyes snapped open as he made his decision. Hinataheim, there is a way out of this, but I have to tell you a few things first, Naruto said, stroking her hair. Please calm down. Hinata's sobs quietened after a few minutes, and she looked into Naruto's eyes. What are they? And what did why you mean? There is a way out? Naruto sighed and sat down against a tree with Hinata in his lap, making both of them blush. The first two things are S-class secrets punishable by death if anyone but myself and the Hokage tell anyone. You can't tell anyone unless I give you express permission. Okay? Okay, Hinata said. But why are you exempt from such laws? Because the laws take me into account, Naruto said. Now, you know that the fourth Hokage killed the Kyuubi, right? Hinata nodded. That was a lie. No human can kill a Biju, but they can kill some demons under the right circumstances. What the fourth did was that he sealed the Kyuubi into a newborn child, one who was not even an hour old, me. Tears started falling from Hinata's eyes again. Oh, Naruto-kun. I'm so sorry, Hinata said as she embraced him. What are you sorry for? It wasn't your fault, Naruto said, hugging her in return. I'm sorry B because I wasn't there F for you earlier, Hinata explained. I don't care that you have a BBju sealed in you. Why you are still in Naruto, and I love you st still. Naruto's heart hammered against his chest as he thought, so she still loves me? Even though I have a demon in my gut. Called it, Takashi said. I knew she was good for you. So did the rest of us, Lael said, rolling his eyes. Not now, you two. Althea chastised her husband and Takashi. Let Naruto think. She then pushed away all view from the outside world from the four in her descendant's mind. And think Naruto did. He didn't want to lose her even more now. Just the thought alone hurt him. He tightened his grip on the girl in his lap a bit as he whispered, "Thank you, Hinataheim," in her ear a few times, not noticing the change in suffix.
And Naruto-kun.
What was the other S-class law you wanted to tell me? Hinata asked after a while. The other one, Naruto said, his eyes sad. The other one is about who my father is. What do you mean? Haven't you ever wondered why I look like the fourth? Doesn't it seem strange that he picked a random orphan to seal the Kyuubi into? Hinata frowned in confusion as she looked at Naruto's face. To tell the truth, she did wonder who his father was occasionally, and it did seem strange that the fourth used an orphan to seal Kyuubi into. She studied her would-be love's face for a few seconds, then gasped softly, making Naruto smile. Why you mean? Yes, Hinataheim. My father is the same man who sealed the Kyuubi into me, Naruto said. Why did he? How could he force any other parent to do something he wasn't willing to do himself? I don't blame him, nor do I blame Kyuubi, or rather Takashi either. Hinata looked at Naruto, confused that he called the Kyuubi Takashi. She asked him why he did that. That brings us to the last two things I have to tell you, Naruto said, then brought her forehead to his, pulling her into his mindscape. 0000000. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto and Hinata landed in a forest clearing. Hinata looked around and asked, And Naruto-kun, where are we? This is my mindscape, Hinataheim. We're in my mind, Naruto explained, drawing a gasp from the girl. Why your mindscape? Hinata asked. How? I drew you into my mindscape. The last two things I need to tell you would be easier to explain here, and no one will overhear us here. What are they? I believe that that's our cue, a voice said behind Hinata, and the girl spun around to see Lael, Althea, and Amitatilian standing 10 feet from her. Who Hinata began. My ancestors and their friend Amitatilian, Naruto said before they explained everything to Hinata after they sat down. Hinata was silent throughout the entire explanation apart from a few gasps and questions she asked. When they were done, she said, "This is amazing. I never knew that this could happen." Nor did any of us, Althea said, to which Lael and Amitatilian nodded. Wait, wouldn't the Kyuubi be here as well? Hinata asked, realizing that the giant fox was nowhere to be seen. Right here, young Hyuga, Takashi said, walking out of the woods to her left in his hybrid form. He was about 6 feet tall with red hair and slitted red eyes. He was dressed in a red t-shirt and black pants, his 9 tails waving behind him. Hynek gasped and made to get behind Naruto as Takashi said, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I thought ninjas would know not to take rumors for granted." He sat down next to Naruto, ruffling the latter's hair. Naruto slapped Takashi's hand away. "Will you stop that?" Naruto asked indignantly.
No.
"I never had a little brother, so I'm going to enjoy this," Takashi said, chuckling. Naruto grumbled. Hinata was shocked. The Kyuubi, no Takashi called Naruto his little brother. Does he really see him as a brother? She asked Naruto. Why did Takashi call you his brother? Because I see him as one, Takashi answered as Naruto opened his mouth. Naruto shot a glare at his older brother, then calmed down. But if this is who you truly are, why did you attack Konoha? Hinata asked, wanting to know. Because I was tricked, Takashi said sadly, his eyes speaking of pain. A man smelling of snakes and a crystal bearer with a red right arm attacked my mate and kit, and killed them. Humans can actually kill demons if the demon in question either has given birth in the last week or is less than a year old. I wasn't there when they attacked, but instead out hunting for them. When I returned, I saw the two men briefly before they disappeared using an Earth-style stealth technique, leaving behind a Konoha headband. I tried to save them, but it was no use. My kit, Gensher, was already dead, and Mirai died in my arms. I was so enraged, I flew Reason out the window and headed to Konoha, not realizing that the people there had nothing to do with it. I attacked, and because of my rage, innocent lives were lost. Takashi hung his head, tears forming and fists clenched. Hinata put her hand on his shoulder. I don't blame you, she said. She looked at Naruto then back at Takashi, both of whom looking at her thankfully. Had I been in your position, I would have done the same. Whoever killed your mate and kit is to blame, and we will find them. Definitely, Naruto said, nodding. I already said that I'd help you, Takashi, and I don't go back on my word. Takashi smiled and said, Thank you, both of you. He then faded, obviously wanting to be by himself for a while. Naruto stood up as everything started to fade. Time to go, Hinataheim, he said as both of them faded out. 0:00:00:00. Real world. Naruto and Hinata woke up with a start. They looked in each other's eyes, then smiled at the same time. Thank you, Naruto-kun, for trusting me, Hinata whispered as she hugged him. No, thank you, Hinaheim, for staying. Naruto whispered back as he returned the hug. His eyes met hers again and he leaned in. Their lips met, and they closed their eyes, savoring the moment. After a few seconds, they pulled back, blushing, but smiling at each other. And Naruto-kun, Hinata said, I don't want to lose you. Same here, Hinataheim, same here, Naruto replied. But how can you help? Hinata said, but was stopped by Naruto placing a finger on her lips. Don't worry, Hinataheim, Naruto said. Trust me, you won't lose me. You're stuck with me, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Now let's go. Naruto created a clone, which shot off without a word, and took Hinata's hand. The two started walking, though only Naruto knew where they were going. After 30 minutes, the two stood in front of the Hokage tower. Hinata looked at Naruto, confused, but all he said was, "Don't worry. I'll explain soon." They entered the tower to find the clerk in front of the Hokage's office filing paperwork. She looked up when the two entered and said, "I'm sorry, but Lord Hokage isn't in right now." The lie was obvious, as all of them heard the Hokage grumbling about his paperwork and the clerk herself was glaring at Naruto. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Really? Then who is in his office? I thought no one was allowed in his office when he's not around." The clerk glared harder at him, but before she said anything, Hayashi Hyuga walked in. I thought I'd find you here, Naruto," Hayashi said, nodding at him, and gave Hinata a small smile, which further confused the girl. He looked at the clerk and said, "If you try to stop anyone from seeing Lord Hokage again when they have an appointment, you could find yourself behind bars. Do you understand?" The clerk nodded and let them go on. Hayashi let his daughter and her soon-to-be fiancé go in first, and closed the office door after them. The Hokage looked up from his paperwork and sighed in relief. "I can assume you made your decision, Naruto?" Naruto nodded as he and the other two sat down, smiling. "I have on both subjects. I'll only take one for now." Hiruzen smiled and nodded. He pulled out a paper and wrote something down, then handed it to him. Naruto signed it and returned it to the Hokage, who stamped and filed the paper. Hinata looked at the three, utterly confused. Hiruzen noticed and asked, "How come you didn't tell her?" Naruto scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. "I, kinda wanted to surprise her." Hiruzen sighed. "Right, let's get Hinata here up to speed," he said, and explained about the CRA meeting, which made Hinata frown as she realized she might have to share. Hayashi took it from there and explained about the marriage contract he wanted to make for the two genin, making Hinata faint with a massive blush. "I knew that would happen," Naruto said as he stopped her from falling out of her chair. Hiruzen chuckled. "Yes, well, are you sure about only taking one wife? You do remember what we discussed, right?" Naruto nodded. "Yes." Hayashi nodded. He was glad he was leaving his daughter with Naruto. Naruto said, "I don't want to hurt her. Your elders have hurt her enough." Hayashi nodded. "That is very true. I hope you treat her right, or I'll make sure you can't have kids, at least for a while." Naruto flinched and crossed his legs, making the two grown men chuckle. "Don't worry, I won't. But it may be a good idea to have her move in with me. The Hyuga elders are going to be pissed when they find out." Hayashi frowned, then nodded. "I think that would be a good course of action. That way, they can't hurt her easily." "So, shall we write up the contract?" Hiruzen asked, to which the two nodded. Hinata woke up at that point and helped with the contract. Within a few hours, the contract was written up and signed by everyone in the room. Hiruzen stamped the contract, making it official, and put it in a hidden vault to keep it safe. "Hinata, let's head home," Hayashi said. Hinata looked at Naruto, who smiled and said, "Don't worry, you'll see me soon enough." Hinata nodded and gave him a peck on the cheek. Naruto blushed as he left the office and headed home to clear out one of the unused bedrooms for Hinata to sleep in. Hinata, meanwhile, was held back with her father. "Hayashi, Hinata, 1 minute," Hiruzen said. Hayashi closed the door that Naruto had just exited and looked at his leader. "Naruto's place of residence has changed, so you will have to be informed of where to go." He told them the address, and Hayashi's eyes bulged. "Yes, Hayashi, that is exactly what it means," Hiruzen said before Hayashi could ask. Hinata spoke up, getting their attention. "Naruto already told me about his tenant and his parentage. You don't have to hide it from me." Hiruzen and Hayashi looked at her, smiling. "I'm glad you're not like most of the village," Hayashi said, putting his hand on his daughter's shoulder. Hinata looked at her father, who was looking at her with pride. Thank you, father. Now let's go. I do not want to keep your fiancé waiting." Hinata looked at her father strangely, before following him out. Hayashi sent one last glare at the clerk, who didn't look at him in fear of upsetting him. Hinata followed her father out, wondering what he meant. She had a feeling it would change her life even more. Oh, how right she was. 0000000. Naruto entered his home and created 14 clones. 3 headed to the library to find some scrolls on medical jutsu while the rest and the original each began to move to a different bedroom. The doorbell rang at that moment, and Naruto looked through the window to see who it was. His eyes widened as he whispered, "How the hell did they follow me?" Standing outside his gate were none other than his teammates. Staring at the building, they saw Naruto enter, speechless. Grumbling, Naruto created another clone and instructed the ones there to go to the bedrooms and check them. He then exited his house, walked up to the gate, and asked his shocked teammates, "How the hell did you follow me?" "We just kept an eye on you," Sasuke said. "And how the hell did you get access to the Fourth Estate? You should get out while you can. Otherwise you'll have ANBU after you for trespassing." "They can't do anything," Naruto said, then felt a clone dispel and gained its memories. "Damn it," Naruto hissed, then opened the gate. "Get in the house. I'll explain later. Oh, and if you break it, you pay for a replacement." Confused, Sakura and Sasuke looked at each other, then entered the yard, ran to the house, and entered it just as Hinata and Hayashi turned the corner. Hinata carried 2 suitcases, and Hayashi carried another. Naruto rubbed his temples and quoted a friend. "Troublesome. A few blocks away," said friend, sneezed violently and muttered the same thing. Hinata and Hayashi came up to his gates at that point, both wearing slightly confused expressions. Hayashi nodded to Naruto and said, "Take care of her, Naruto. And about your guests." Naruto sighed. "I really didn't want to explain things to them yet. I just hope they understand." Hayashi nodded. "I understand. You don't have to tell them everything though." "I wasn't planning to." Hinata asked, "Could you open the gates, Naruto-kun? I want to get settled as soon as possible." Naruto nodded and opened the gates again. Hinata walked in, and Naruto created a clone to carry the suitcases she was carrying while he took the one Hayashi had. Hinata and Naruto look after each other. "And don't worry, I'll keep the elders away from you," Hayashi said, then disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Naruto closed the gates again and walked with Hinata to the door. He opened it and said, "Ladies first." Hinata giggled and entered to see Sakura and Sasuke looking at her, confused. Naruto entered behind her with her suitcases, which added to their confusion. "What's going on, Naruto?" Sasuke asked. "Why are you here? Why is Hinata here? And why does she have suitcases with her?" Naruto sighed and dispelled the clones in the rest of the house. "I'll explain soon, but first let me find Hinata a room." He left with Hinata and the clone following him. Once out of earshot of his teammates, Hinata asked, "What did you mean? Find me a room? I thought we would share one." She blushed brightly as both Naruto and his clone turned to her, blushing badly as well. "Are you sure about that, Hinata-heim?" Naruto asked. "Technically, we're only engaged." "So?" Hinata asked as she wrapped her arms around the real Naruto. "I just want to sleep in the same bed, that's all. Please, Naruto-kun." She looked at him with her puppy eyes, making Naruto try to look away and say no, but he couldn't look away from her. He sighed. "Fine, inataime." Just to sleep. "Yay!" Hinata said, hugging him. "Thank you, Naruto-kun." Naruto chuckled and whispered, "Man, I'm whipped." "Yes, but I'll make it up to you," Hinata whispered back before kissing him. Naruto kissed her back. "I wonder how you'll do that," he teased before he led her to his room. "Here we are," he said as he opened the door to the master bedroom, which was on the 2nd floor. Hinata's jaw dropped as she saw how big it was. Wow, Hinata whispered as she looked around. The bed was a king size which would let them grow into it. It was placed in a beautiful carved wood bed frame, with its head placed against the far wall. On each side of the bed were 2 equally beautiful wooden nightstands, though the one on the left had a mirror. Next to them were equally beautiful wooden dressers. A couch sat on the right wall with a bookcase to its right. On the left wall was a large window that had its center at the middle of the wall and extended a quarter of the way towards the walls connected to it. The window reached from the floor to the ceiling and gave a clear view of the garden in the backyard. On the wall that the door was in was another door at the other end, leading to the rather large bathroom. I reacted the same, Naruto said as he and his clone placed Hinata's suitcases near the closest dresser. This will be your dresser and nightstand, he gestured to the said furniture. The bathroom is through that door dash, he pointed to the other door. And trust me, it even has a jacuzzi. As her fiancé dispelled his clone, Hinata opened the door to the bathroom, and sure enough, it had one. Hinata blushed deeply as she teased, "Well, I guess it's a good thing I brought my SW swimsuit." Naruto blushed deeply at the thought of Hinata in a swimsuit, then shook his head to clear it. Hinata giggled at his reaction and winked at him. And maybe later, Hinata-heim. We still have to explain things to Sasuke and Sakura. Hinata sighed as she walked to him and said, I just hope they understand. We really had no choice but to move in together. Naruto wrapped his arms around her and kissed her lips. Me too. Now let's go. They headed back downstairs to find Sakura and Sasuke looking at the various items in the living room. Hey! Naruto greeted them, which got their attention. Okay. Now that you two are done, can you please explain what's going on? Sakura asked, annoyed that she had to wait. All right, sit down, Naruto said, gesturing to one of the couches, which his teammates sat on while he and Hinata sat on the one facing them. Naruto then explained why he and Hinata were living there, which took over an hour to explain. Sakura and Sasuke sat there in shock after Naruto finished, just staring at them with slightly open mouths. Why, you're the son of the fourth Hokage and Kushina Uzumaki? The yellow flash and the red whirlpool? And they were married? Sakura asked. Yes, my parents kept their marriage a secret, because they didn't want their enemies seeking revenge through each other. Makes sense, Sasuke said, frowning in thought. And now you and Hinata here are engaged because her clan elders were trying to marry her off to a duke older than her father. What are those elders thinking? Maybe they were accepting bribes from him, Sakura said. Maybe, Hinata said, but I didn't want to. They even invited him over once, and he couldn't keep his eyes off me. She shuddered, and Naruto wrapped his arm around her. Don't worry, Hinata-heim. I won't let him near you, he said. Hinata smiled at him. Naruto then looked at his teammates. Now, you have to explain something. Why were you following me? I just wanted to return these, Sakura said as she pulled out the medical scrolls he lent her and handed them over. I wanted to know if you had any scrolls on fire and lightning jutsu, Sasuke said. Naruto sighed. Follow me, he said as he stood up, then walked to the library as the others walked behind. He reached the library and opened the door to it. He heard the girls gasp, and Sasuke whispered, Holy! They entered the library and looked around. Whoa, Sakura said. This is a lot of jutsu. Did they come with the house? They did, Naruto said, placing the medical scrolls back in their spots. My dad wanted the library this big because of the amount of scrolls and books he and mom had. You can borrow some, but he turned to Sasuke, who had immediately started taking the entire fire jutsu section. Not an entire section. Sasuke, put them back in their correct places. Sasuke frowned and reluctantly put most of the jutsu back in their correct spots. He tried to keep the A-rank techniques, but Naruto put them back and made him take a few D and C ranks he didn't know. Oh, come on, Naruto. At least let me Sasuke protested childishly. You don't have enough chakra, Sasuke? Naruto said as he walked over to the books. I'll let you borrow them, but you have to wait until you have enough chakra. Sasuke sighed. He didn't want to lose this treasure trove, but neither did he want to upset his friend. Sakura smiled at her teammate's argument as she looked at the books. One of them caught her eye and, curious, she pulled it out and opened it. She frowned as she read the spells, their explanations, and their theories. Naruto, what does this book mean when it says magic? She asked. Naruto walked over and looked at the book for a second, then turned away. Oh, it explains what people used before chakra was discovered. Magic and jutsu use the same energies inside us, with two major differences. First, when we use magic, the energies don't combine in the same way, and second, the energies return to us within minutes when they are completely drained. Cool, Sasuke said as he looked at the spells with Sakura. How long does it take to learn magic? Years or months, depending on the spell, unless you have an affinity for it, Naruto said. But with magicites, you don't have that limitation. You can just channel energy into the magicite and get the spell you want to cast. But those are military magicite. Economic magicite is used for lighting a room or powering vehicles. Unfortunately, all magicite are incredibly rare today, and I haven't had the chance to find out how to get to the Yucca Sky City, the capital of the Yucca world. But maybe there are some magicite here. How can you be sure the Yucca capital is still around? Sakura asked, raising her eyebrow. Naruto frowned. Good point, but I should be able to find a way to check. He bumped against a vase that stood on a pedestal. He grabbed it before it could fall, and noticed that the panel behind it seemed off. What was that about us not breaking anything? Sakura needled her friend, but Naruto ignored her as he put the vase on a table, then pulled the panel that was behind it off. Sakura frowned. Naruto. Look. Everyone moved to see what Naruto was looking at. They saw a complicated seal on a panel. It's a blood seal. How can you tell? Sasuke asked, frowning. There are books on seals here. This one is for family use. Naruto bit his thumb and smeared the blood on the seal. The bookcase to everyone's left moved forward, then away from them. A staircase was behind it going down. I'll go first. No one argued since it was his home. They went down the staircase, though they stopped as the bookcase concealing it slid back into place. Oh no! How are we getting out? Sakura fretted, before the area around the staircase lit up. Naruto looked to the source and gasped. The others followed his gaze and gasped as well. In a light socket was not a light bulb, as they expected, but an orange sphere lighting the staircase. Is that an economic magicite? Naruto said. He looked down the staircase, excited. Come on! He started down again, this time using his gravity powers to slide down the rail. Wait up! Sasuke said, before doing the same with his chakra. The girls just shared a look, each clearly thinking, boys. Sakura shrugged before following the boys' lead, while Hinata merely sighed and did the same. The four slid down the rail quickly, and Naruto entered a room at high speed. He flipped, then used his gravity powers to stop his momentum and land safely, then did the same for his friends as they entered. When Hinata entered, he used his powers to not only stop her momentum, but to pull her into a quick kiss. Hinata turned a deep crimson and pulled away reluctantly, embarrassed about the public display of affection.
And Naruto-kun.
And not in FR front of why your teammates. Naruto just chuckled, but released her. He still held her hand though. Whoa, Sakura said as she looked around. The others looked too, and their jaws dropped as they said, wow. Placed in shelves around the 50-foot by 50 room were magicites, both military and economic. The military section was organized by spell type and then rank within said type, starting with fire, then blizzard, thunder, arrow, water, earth spells, gravity, zero gravity, stop, cure, and asuna, status spells, holy spells, then dark spells. There were at least 4 of each, and each military magicite had 1 to 4 white crystals in it, signifying its rank. The economic section just had its magicite. Whoa, Amiditelian are most of the spells here? Naruto mentally asked. Amiditelian looked closely at them, then said, most. I do not see a mega flare, nor a few dark and holy-based spells. It is amazing your father had all these. Perhaps your family has collected them over the years. That would explain it. Naruto agreed as he picked up one of his 10 red fire magicite. Sasuke, here. He tossed the magicite to the Uchiha, who caught it. You can have that fire. Just don't go showing off with it until I learn how to make more. Sasuke's eyes widened. What? Why you're just gonna give me this? Why? I just feel like it, Naruto said as he grabbed one each of his 10 yellow Thundara and blue Blazara magicite and tossed them to him. Here's a Blazara and a Thundara. Besides, you may need them. He grabbed 2 of his 10 green Kura magicites and tossed one each to Sakura and Hinata. Here, girls. Those are Kura magicite, from what I've read. Kura? Sakura asked, looking at the magicite. The second rank of healing spells, Naruto explained. The standard ranking goes Cure, then Kura, Kuraga, and finally Kuraja. Most spells follow the same pattern. He grabbed 2 of the 20 clear green Asuna and tossed them to the girls as well. Here's an Asuna. It's mainly for healing status effects or treating poison, but they're not as fast-working as medical jutsu. What does Kura do? Sakura asked. Heals injuries, Naruto said, pocketing a sky blue aurora and a light brown quake. Fire shoots a homing fireball, blizzard forms ice crystals above your target's head then drops them. Thunder makes a bolt of lightning hit your target, though it will only hurt him or her. Arrow tosses your target into the air. Water surrounds your target with crushing water. Earth spells use the earth to attack. Gravity and zero gravity do their namesakes. Stop freezes you in place until a certain amount of time. Status-inflicting spells do their namesakes as well. Holy spells usually are light-based spells, and dark spells are darkness-based spells. As he gave a brief explanation of what each type of spell did, he pointed to each one as he explained them. You read that book upstairs earlier, didn't you? Sasuke asked. Yep, Naruto said, grabbing one of the 2 Ultima spells and, after mulling it over, pocketing it. Are you sure we can have these? Sakura asked as Naruto handed her a quake and what era. Naruto said, yes, I'm giving you ones I have at least 10 of. He handed Hinata a what era and Thundara. Sasuke looked at the economic, then at the staircase, then his watch. His eyes widened as he realized the time. Whoa, it's 7:30. I guess we lost track of time. Sakura's eyes widened as she hastily pocketed her magicite and headed to the staircase. Oh no, I'm going to be late for dinner. The others just looked at each other, then pocketed their magicite as well and headed up. When they reached the top, they saw a worried Sakura looking at a blood seal. Calm down, Sakura, Naruto said as he bit his thumb and swiped the seal, making the bookshelf that hid the staircase move. I'm sure your parents won't be too mad at you. True, but I don't like being late to dinner, Sakura said. Well, I gotta go. See you tomorrow. She ran outside, forgetting that Naruto had to open the gate. Naruto created a clone to let her and Sasuke out as the Uchiha walked out after a small thanks and goodbye. The clone dispelled after it did its job. Hinata said, I'll start cooking dinner. She headed to the kitchen with Naruto close behind. I'm sure I'm going to love whatever you make, Naruto said, giving her a quick peck. She blushed and smiled at him. Naruto walked with his fiancée, thinking that he was a lucky guy to have someone like her. 0000000. /N. Okay, chapter's done. I hope you liked it. Remember, Naruto and Hinata were on a deadline. Don't complain, just accept it. And just because I can, here's a preview of the next chapter. Scene shows Team 7 entering a cave with an archaeologist. Naruto, what is Tai's place? Cuts to underground ruins near the Fire Country's capital. Sakura, these ruins look ancient. Part of the floor vanishes. Sasuke, HH. Naruto catches Sasuke. Naruto, and unstable. Naruto reads inscription on floor.
Naruto, o crisison mis, nullo o nullo o nullo o nullo o nullo.
Naruto woke up from his sleep and yawned. He felt a pressure on his chest and looked to see that Hinata, in her sleep, had moved on to him. He smiled at the sight of his fiancée's sleeping form. He then gently said as he shook her awake, Haim, time to wake up. Hinata moaned as she joined Naruto in the waking world. She looked up at him and said sleepily, Do I have to?
I'm comfortable.
She laid her head back down, but it was brought back up by Naruto before he kissed her on the lips. She woke up instantly and started kissing back. He pulled away and, smirking a bit, asked, Are you awake now? Hinata playfully hit him and said, Maybe. She then kissed him again, wrapping her arms around his neck. Naruto smiled before kissing her back, then pulled away and said, We really should get up. We do have to meet our teams after all. Hinata sighed and got up, giving Naruto a glimpse of her early developing body before held her arms up shyly in front of her torso. She went to her dresser and pulled out a change of clothes, then headed to the bathroom for a shower. Naruto got up as well, pulled out some clothes, and headed to a different bathroom after he created a shadow clone to fix some bacon and eggs. A few minutes later, Hinata and Naruto sat in the kitchen, eating the breakfast Naruto's clone cooked. Did Lady Althea teach you how to cook, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked as she ate. Yeah, she did, Naruto replied. He checked the time. We should head to our team's meeting spots in about 15 minutes. You have your magicite in your pack. I have them in a separate one and I have it on me, Hinata replied, showing him the 2 pouches at the back of her waist. That's good. Don't use them unless it's necessary. I have no doubt that people will start harassing me about them when word gets out that I have a lot of magicite. Hinata giggled before drinking some orange juice. They would be wasting their time, though. Naruto chuckled. Yeah, they would be. Maybe I could start selling them when I learn how to make them, depending on how it's done. Maybe, but I don't think making them is easy, Hinata said. She pulled out the kura she had and looked at it, then remembered something. Naruto, I remember seeing some other magicite with more than 4 of these crystals in them. Don't the crystals signify the spell's rank? Most of them, Naruto said, remembering what Amidatilian told him and what he read. Some magicites, like some you saw in the basement, have more than 4 crystals. Those are unique spells, different from the other spells of the same type. I read that the magicite for Mega Flare, an extremely powerful fire-based spell, has 5 crystals. Ultima, the most powerful light spell, has 6. He pulled out the Ultima magicite and showed it to her. Sure enough, there were 6 crystals arranged in a hexagon from the angle Hinata saw it. What's the highest amount of crystals a magicite can have? 6, Naruto said. There are some magicite without crystals, but those are for summons like Bahamut, Ifrit, and Shiva. Summons? Like an animal summoning contract? Hinata asked, confused. And what animals are they? Yeah, the summon magicites are similar to summon contracts. The summons are many animals. Bahamut is a dragon. Some, like Ifrit and Shiva, have human-like appearances. Shiva is a woman and Ifrit is a male. Ifrit is a fire element, Shiva is a blizzard, and Bahamut doesn't have an element. All summons, from what I know, are intelligent and can hold conversations with their summoner. You can learn how to summon them without the magicite, but the summon has to teach you. Have you summoned any of them before? No, I have a way to go with Amidatilian's summoning powers before I can summon any of them, Naruto said, frowning. Oh, Hinata looked downcast. She wanted to meet the summons. Naruto noticed the time. We should get ready. It's nearly time to go. He stood up and put his empty plate and cup in the dishwasher, then headed to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Hinata stood up and did the same before following him. They left the Namikaze estate and walked together for part of the way before Naruto gave Hinata a kiss and said, "See you later, Haim." Hinata blushed and said, "See you, be careful." You too. Naruto walked off and waved goodbye before he turned a corner. Hinata waved back as he waved, then walked off to her team's meeting spot, smiling. 10 minutes later, Naruto arrived at his team's meeting spot and said, "Morning, Sakura, Sasuke." "Morning," his teammates replied. Sakura then asked, "So am I off the hook?" Naruto frowned in thought. "I'll think about it." "I'm really sorry about following you on your date and to your house," she said truly. "Just don't do it again," Naruto said. "When either of you want to return the scrolls I lent you, just give them back at the next meeting. All right?" His teammates nodded. Kakashi appeared in a swirl of leaves as Sakura asked, "Does Kakashi-sensei know about your parents?" "Yeah, he does," Naruto said. "He was the one who was holding the keys to the house, after all, as well as my dad's student." "Makes sense," Sasuke said, nodding. "What do you think our missions will be today?" "We're about to find out, after you tell me how you found out about Naruto's parents," Kakashi said, alerting his team to his presence. Kakashi glared at his students, making them cringe. "They followed me yesterday because Sakura wanted to return the medical scrolls I lent her and Sasuke wanted to see if I had any scrolls on fire and lightning jutsu," Naruto explained. "They followed me all the way to my house." "Shouldn't you have sensed them?" Kakashi asked. "I was too distracted," Naruto said, underlining that he didn't want to talk about it right now. Kakashi sighed. "Great, now we have to tell Lord Hokage about this." Ah, well, we can tell him when we get our missions. Let's go. They headed to the Mission Acceptance Center to find the Hokage and Irika there with Team 8 about to request a mission. Hiruzen noticed Team 7 enter and said, "Ah, good. Team 7, I'm glad you arrived just now." Everyone looked at him strangely. He grabbed a mission from the B-rank pile and said, "Someone has found some ruins just outside the capital and alerted the daimyo, who in turn alerted me. He has requested 2 genin squads for a mission to guard an archaeologist, Taiki Nakashima, as he surveys the ruins. He specifically requested your team, Kakashi, and I've decided to send Team 8 as well." He tossed the scroll to Kakashi, who opened it and read it. Kakashi sighed. "I can assume we don't have a choice?" "That is correct," Hiruzen said. "The daimyo will meet with you at the entrance to the ruins with Professor Nakashima. Prepare accordingly. There may be a miasma stream or other dangers." Both teams nodded, then left the building. Irika turned to the Hokage. "Lord Hokage, do you really think it's a good idea to send genin teams on a B rank, even if it's something like this?" Hiruzen smiled and said, "Don't worry about them, Irika, especially Naruto. They will be fine." "I can't help but worry," Irika replied, frowning. "Naruto is like a little brother to me. I hope he'll be fine." "Irika, don't worry too much. Naruto is stronger than you think." Outside, Naruto repressed a sneeze as he thought, "Someone is worried about me. Probably Irika-sensei." Kakashi turned to Kurenai and asked, "This will be interesting, huh, Kurenai?" Kurenai nodded, "It will. Though I do wonder why Lord Hideyoshi requested genin teams." Kakashi shrugged, though he had a hunch. "I don't know. I suggest we pack for at least 2 days. How about we all meet at the gates in an hour?" "Sure. And be on time, Kakashi," Kurenai called as he walked away. She sighed and turned to the genin. "You heard us. Pack for at least 2 days, meet at the gates in 1 hour, and don't be late. Understand?" "Yes, ma'am," the genin said, then dispersed to get ready. 50 minutes later, Teams 7 and 8 minus the senseis stood at the gates, waiting. Naruto had a bad feeling and had packed 3 of each second-tier magicite spell and 2 of each third-tier magicite in a chest that was sealed in a scroll in his bag. He hoped he was just being paranoid, but still packed them just in case. "So, Naruto, Hinata, how's your relationship going?" Kiba asked, curious. Naruto smiled and embraced Hinata, making her blush. "Great. She's a great girl. I kinda regret I never noticed her before." He pecked her on the cheek, making her turn redder.
"And Naruto-kun."
"And not in front of everyone," Hinata protested. Naruto just chuckled. "All right, Hinaheim, if you say so." "Man, you are whipped," Kiba said, chuckling. He stopped when Naruto and Hinata sent a glare at him. "Okay, I'll shut up. But what about the Hyuga elders and her father? They're gonna be pissed when they find out, if they haven't already." "Her father's fine with it," Naruto said. "As for the elders, well, they just have to deal with it." "Wait, what?" Kiba said, shocked. "Hayashi is okay with you 2 dating?" "Yeah," Naruto said. "He doesn't mind, but he did threaten to castrate Naruto-kun if he hurts me," Hinata said, frowning. "That makes 2 of us, then," Kiba said, looking at Naruto, who raised an eyebrow. Before he could say anything, Kurenai and Kakashi walked up. Kurenai saw Naruto's arms around Hinata and raised an eyebrow. "Are they getting serious? Alright, since we're all here, we can go. Naruto, could you take your arms off my student?" Naruto complied and stepped away from Hinata as they signed out and left. The 2 teams leaped into the trees and sped off toward the capital. 0:00:00:00. Later, at the entrance to the ruins, Teams 7 and 8 stood in front of the daimyo of the Land of Fire, Hideyoshi Isuhara. He was about 35 years old with short black hair and green eyes, wearing a standard red and blue royal kimono. To the daimyo's left was a girl around the same age as the genin. She had long brown hair reaching down to her waist and brilliant sea-green eyes, and was wearing a smaller, female version of the daimyo's kimono. To the daimyo's right was a man in his early 20s. He had light brown hair hidden by an archaeology hat and blue eyes behind oval-shaped glasses. He wore a light brown jacket with many pockets, dark brown pants, and boots. Slung over his shoulder was a large bag that had a few tools sticking out. 12 guards stood around them in battle gear. All of them held spears in their hands, though a few had swords strapped to their backs. "Hello, Lord Hideyoshi," Kakashi said, bowing as Kurenai and the genin did the same. "I am Kakashi Hatake, and my fellow shinobi are Jonin Kurenai Yuhi, and genins Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, Kiba Inuzuka, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Uzumaki." He gestured to each as he said their names. "I hope you aren't upset about our time of arrival." "It is all right," the daimyo responded, nodding to Kakashi. "Let me introduce you to my daughter, Kekkei." He gestured to his daughter, who smiled and nodded at the shinobi in greeting as she received bows. "And this man next to me is the archaeologist you will be protecting, Professor Taiki Nakamasha." The shinobi bowed in greeting, which Taiki returned, making sure nothing fell out of his bag. "These are some strange ruins, and Taiki believes they may be from the time of the 4 tribes." Kakashi nodded. "So, these ruins are very important." "Correct. We didn't dare enter, as there could be monsters down there, as well as a few miasma streams. That's where you come in. You are to protect Professor Nakamasha as he does a primary survey the ruins." "We understand, Lord Hideyoshi," Kakashi said, bowing again. "Don't worry, we won't let anything bad happen to him." He straightened and said, "If that is all, we should begin immediately." "Of course," Hideyoshi said, nodding. "Kekkei, let's return to the city." Kekkei glanced at Naruto and said, "Of course, father." She winked at Naruto, then turned around with her father as the guards formed around them. "He's cute, but I will reserve any more judgments until I get to know him better, hopefully." Hinata narrowed her eyes at Kiryai's back and thought, "Did she just wink at my fiancé?" The other shinobi noticed the wink too and thought, "Oh boy, I can already tell that's gonna be a problem." Naruto thought, "Crap, one look and she's already flirting. I guess Lord Hideyoshi doesn't know that I won't be taking multiple wives yet. Or maybe he does, and Lady Kekkei is unaware that I've already found Hinaheim." "Probably the latter," Takashi said. Taiki was unaware of the thoughts of the shinobi and, turning to the ruins, said, "Well, shall we get going?" The shinobi nodded and entered the ruins with Team 8 in front and Team 7 in the back, with Taiki in between them. The stone tunnel weaved through the ground, sloping downward. Taiki and the shinobi pulled out their flashlights only 20 feet into it. After about 30 minutes of walking and a few hundred feet, the tunnel started getting steeper and curved slightly to the left, making them go slower to avoid falling. This continued for 100 feet until the ground leveled out, and everyone saw a doorway with no door about 30 feet away. "Wait," Kakashi said, making everyone stop. "Naruto, create a shadow clone to check for enemies. Hinata, you check as well." Naruto nodded and did as ordered. The clone headed to the doorway to look around the area as Hinata activated her Byakugan. The clone dispelled after a minute and Hinata deactivated her Byakugan with a frown as Naruto groaned and said sarcastically, "Oh, that's just great." "What is it?" Taiki asked. "Monsters," Hinata said. "I couldn't identify them, as I'm not familiar with them. 3 king behemoths, 2 tunberries, a tunberry queen, and an iron giant," Naruto said, much to the dismay of Kakashi and Kurenai. "The big purple ones with horns and a wooden club are the king behemoths. The tunberries are the green human-sized half-fish half-humans in brown coats wielding knives and lanterns. The tunberry queen is wearing a pink bow with a pink dress and has a chainsaw as well as its knife and lantern, and the iron giant is light blue with a giant cog on its back and a helmet." "Is it really that bad?" Kiba asked, hoping it wasn't. "From what I've read, king behemoths are hard enough to deal with when they're on their own, and we have to wake the iron giant in order to kill it. Both of them have incredibly tough skin and can take a lot of damage. The tunberries can blind you, then come up behind you and stab you, and the queen is worse. She is faster than normal tunberries, and is twice as strong," Naruto explained. "And that's not taking into account that we have to protect Professor Nakamasha." Taiki paled and asked, "So should we turn back?" Naruto sat down, thinking hard. He didn't want to have to reveal his magicites, but he had no choice. He sighed. We do have a chance. I'm so glad I grabbed these. He pulled out a scroll and opened it, revealing a storage seal. He poured chakra into it and a chest was revealed. What's in that, Naruto? Kiba asked. Naruto opened the lid, and Kiba, Kurenai, and Taiki gasped in shock as Shino raised his eyebrows. Magicites, Naruto said as he grabbed two Thundaga, Faraga, Blizzaga, and Stopka magicite and tossed one each to the senseis. Here, those are third-tier spells. We'll need them. Kiba, Shino, what are your chakra affinities? Kiba's primary is fire, and mine is lightning. But why are you asking? Shino said, his brow furrowed. So I know which ones to lend you, Naruto replied as he grabbed two Fire and Thundara and handed one each to Shino and Kiba. He frowned and grabbed a Karaga and handed it to Taiki. I want all of them back when we're done with this mission. All right? He received nods from everyone. Why haven't you lent Hinata and your teammates any magicite? Kurenai asked, frowning at Naruto. And where did you get this many? We already have some, Hinata said as she brought out her Kura, Wadera, Isuna, and Thundara magicite, blushing a bit. Sakura and Sasuke brought theirs out as well. Where I got them is a secret I would not like to tell, but I didn't steal them, Naruto said as he resealed the chest, and Taiki studied Naruto's face. Why does something about him seem familiar? I feel like I know his lineage, but Taiki's eyes widened as he finally noticed the crystal in Naruto's cheek. That means he's… I can't believe it. Just the royal line of the Lilti Kingdom is still alive. He's the heir to the throne. The leaders have to be notified of this. Naruto frowned at Taiki's expression. What is it, Professor? Taiki snapped out of his thoughts and said, It's nothing important. Naruto, Hinata, and the Jonin frowned. They could tell he was lying, but dropped it. All right, Kakashi said, pocketing the magicite. We will have to hit the monsters hard and fast. We'll start with the Tunberries and Tunberry Queen. Kurenai, think you can get enough time to place a genjutsu on at least one of the king behemoths to make it attack the others? Kurenai nodded. Do it. We'll let them attack each other until the one under the genjutsu dies. Then blitzkrieg the remaining king behemoths one at a time unless necessary. When the king behemoths are dead, we'll wake up the Iron Giant and blitzkrieg it. Naruto, was there a miasma stream? Yes, but we have to kill all the monsters first. All right, Professor, I think it's best you stay in the tunnel right now. I don't want you getting hurt. Taiki was about to protest, but nodded. Let's go, Kakashi said, walking forward with the other shinobi, while Taiki walked behind them, his left hand in his bag, clutching something. He stopped a few feet from the door, letting the shinobi take care of the monsters. The shinobi entered the area with monsters to find a very spacious room, at least a quarter-mile in width and length. The purple, cylindrical miasma stream floated in the center of the room. A Tunberry noticed the shinobi and let out a yell, alerting the other monsters to the threat. The Tunberry charged and attempted to stab Hinata, but Naruto grabbed its wrist and slammed a kunai into its head, killing it instantly. The Tunberry vanished instantly into a purple mist. A king behemoth started lumbering near, and the shinobi scattered, searching for the other Tunberry and Tunberry Queen. Kakashi saw the queen, but lost sight of it when he was forced to dodge a club swing from a king behemoth. Naruto tried to throw the Tunberry at the Tunberry Queen, but had to stop as another king behemoth swung its club at him. He dropped the Tunberry, and instead of hitting him, the club hit the Tunberry, sending it flying into a wall and killing it. Well, that works too, Naruto thought. He then ducked as the king behemoth swung at him again. He jumped up and slammed a gravity-infused fist into the king behemoth's jaw. The king behemoth staggered back before grabbing him with its free hand and threw him towards another, which swung its club at him. Naruto used his gravity powers to stop just outside the radius of the swing. Kurenai ensnared one of the king behemoths in a genjutsu, and one started lumbering towards another, its club raised. Once it got close enough, it swung its club at the other one's head, making the other attack it. Hinata and Shino found the Tunberry Queen again, and Shino surrounded it with his insects as Hinata used Jukin to disable it. She then grabbed her What-Era Magicite and cast the spell at the monster. Water appeared from every angle around the Tunberry Queen and started crushing it for several seconds, leaving the Tunberry Queen badly injured. Kiba then decided to try his Fire Magicite and shot a fireball at it, killing it. The shinobi regrouped and looked at the two fighting king behemoths, both of which somewhat injured at that point. "Wait, where's the third one?" Naruto asked before looking towards the entrance to find the last one trying to reach Taiki. The key word was trying, as its arm couldn't fit into the doorway. "Figures. I'll get its attention," Sasuke said before running off and launching a fire jutsu at it. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The fireball hit the king behemoth right in its face, and the monster turned to Sasuke, who paled and thought, "Oh crap." Sasuke dodged the club swing from the angry monster, then flew through hand signs and said, "Fire style. Flame wall jutsu." He then blew towards the ground and created a wall of fire between him and his opponent as Kakashi lifted his headband and started charging a lightning blade. The king behemoth stepped through the wall of fire with ease, much to Sasuke's dismay. Kakashi then charged the monster and stabbed the monster in the eye, killing it. The monster dissipated as the king behemoth that was under the genjutsu received a blow to the head, killing it as well. Naruto pulled out the Ultima Magicite and started charging it. Before the king behemoth could take more than 2 steps, a white sphere of energy appeared in front of his face as Naruto said, "This is the greatest of light spells. Ultima." The sphere exploded, killing the monster and sending everyone flying back 30 feet. The shinobi twisted in midair and landed upright, though Naruto fell to his knees, panting in exhaustion from using an overpowered Ultima spell. "Naruto-kun, are you okay?" Hinata asked as she helped him up. "I'll be fine," Naruto said as he wobbled a bit. "I think I just overpowered Ultima a bit." "A bit?" Amidatilian asked in his mind, clearly angry at Naruto. "That Ultima you cast had double the amount of power it should have had. Do you have any idea what that can do to someone?"
No.
"It can kill you if you do that again right now. When you get back to the village, you will put that magicite back until I think you are ready to use it," Amidatilian ordered. "I'm not arguing," Naruto thought. That was too powerful. He looked up and said, "I can wake up the Iron Giant, but then I'll have to rest for a few seconds. You'll have to kill it without me." He didn't give anyone a chance to argue, and spun the cog on the Iron Giant's back, waking it up. The Iron Giant roared as it picked up the sword next to it and advanced on the shinobi, who moved out of the way. Hinata landed at the entrance and set Naruto down, then leaped back into the fight hesitantly after Naruto said he'd be okay. The Iron Giant swung its sword at Kiba, who ducked, and the other shinobi struck with their best jutsu at the same time, severely hurting it, but also making it angry. It roared again, this time swinging its sword in a complete circle, nearly hitting Sakura, who thought, that was way too close. Kakashi then launched a dragon made of fire at the monster, which killed it. Hinata wasted no time and rushed back to Naruto. "Are you feeling better?" she asked as she helped him up. "I haven't fully recovered yet, but I'll be fine," Naruto said as his strength returned. "I hope so," Taiki said. "I don't want anyone to kill themselves in this place." As he said this, he cast a sideways glance at Naruto. That was purely foolish, overpowering that Ultima spell. "Let's continue on, shall we?" Kakashi asked, though he was worried about Naruto too. "Sure," everyone responded, and Naruto, walking over to the miasma stream with Hinata's help, closed it with his powers. A red crystal-like object shaped like a heart fell from the stream. "What is that?" Kiba asked, walking towards it, but Naruto brought it over with his powers. Taiki gasped and said, "This is a mer fragment. I don't know much about them, due to the lack of information on them, but they are supposed to make a person stronger. I don't know how it's done, though. I think the physically weakest of you should take it." "You don't want to study it?" Sakura asked, thinking that he could be wasting a valuable opportunity. "I'm an archaeologist, not a scientist," Taiki said, shaking his head, "and I don't know anyone who could study them effectively." "I think Sakura should get it," Naruto said. Why Sakura? Kiba asked, confused that he didn't say Hinata should get it. Well, no offense to Sakura, but physically, she is the weakest ninja here. Are you sure? Sakura asked, looking at the mer fragment. Positive, Naruto said, floating it over to her. After a moment's hesitation, she grabbed it, and the fragment immediately absorbed itself into her. Sakura jerked back a bit and looked at her hands. So that's how it's done, Taiki said, then noticed something on the wall on the opposite side of the entrance. Whoa, he said, walking over to it. The shinobi looked at what he saw and gasped. On the wall was an enormous mural. On the left side were two crystals. One looked like an inverse triangle and the other looked like the Lilti tribe symbol, with Lael to their right, facing away from them. He didn't look the same, however. His face had more crystal on it, and his eyes seemed to glow bright blue. Parts of his body and clothes were crystal as well, with his hands made entirely of crystal and the sleeves of his coat mostly encased in crystal. The clasp of his jacket was also crystal. Crystals created lines down his pants to the board made of crystal that enclosed his right foot, making it look like he was surfing. A crystal floated next to the one on his cheek, with a wing of energy emanating from it. On the right side was a Lilti with his body encased in red crystal from the waist down. He had glowing red eyes, and his hair was braided into 3 ponytails starting at the same spot on his head. Parts of his body were also crystal, most notably his right arm from the elbow down. He seemed to be standing on a giant, robotic-like head with a red crystal extending from the forehead, with him attached to the crystal. My first fight in hyper mode, Lael said, looking at the mural through Naruto's eyes. Hyper mode? Naruto asked mentally. Hyper mode is the state where a crystal bearer has more of his or her body become crystal, and possesses more power than ever. But the only way to enter hyper mode the first time is to have a crystal reactor near them and pour a lot of power into his or her crystal, or for the bearer to feel intense emotion like anger and rage. For me, it was both. But a bearer can stay in hyper mode for only 5 minutes when they first start, and when they leave hyper mode, they are extremely exhausted, Lael explained. What is this mural about? Sakura asked, then noticed a plaque below with 2 people etched into the stone, one on each side. 2 more people were etched into the stone below the plaque. Look, she said, pointing to them. Taiki walked over to the words on the wall. This writing, it's an incredibly ancient language, from the time of the 4 tribes. Can you read it? Shino asked.